And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. This week, along with our regular host, we have a really special guest, Mr. Steve Phelps, the president of NASCAR. Mr. Phelps, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys, please call me Steve. Mr. Phelps was my father, so.
Nice.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Steve, I guess starting off, the last week's been really big when it comes to social issues in NASCAR. And I wanted to ask, there's been a lot of changes just in the last week, but the big one I think that everyone has noticed just across all of media, not even just the sport itself, is the banning of the Confederate flag and that new policy. And I want to ask kind of a two-parter. One, how long has NASCAR been wanting to get to this point, and how, once fans are coming back, is that going to be enforced?
Yeah, so I'll start with the second part of the question. So yes, it is going to be enforced. I think you have to go back to the why, and the why is as simple as we want to make sure that everyone who comes to a NASCAR race feels welcome. We don't want to exclude anyone from coming, and if there's a group of people who feel like that a symbol or whatever that is, a flag, makes them uncomfortable, it's not something that we want as part of our racing. This sport should be about fun, should be about family, should be about community. And, I think that, we want it to be not just welcoming, but we want people to share their NASCAR experiences with each other and with new audiences. I've been a NASCAR fan for over 50 years, which makes me, older than all of you. But it is, to me, when I bring a first-time fan to the race, I'm proud. I'm proud of the sport. I'm proud of what it means to be a NASCAR fan. I'm proud to show people, what it's like to be there. And, NASCAR fans are unbelievable. They just, you go in the infield and, hey, do you want some ribs? You want a burger? Why don't you grab a beer? To total strangers. I went one time and some guy I didn't know, total stranger, helped me hook up my an RV that I had rented, and he said that's what NASCAR fans do.
Well, kind of piggybacking off that, this week NASCAR also announced that Brandon Thompson would be the head of the new NASCAR diversity program. What can you tell us about that new program and what he's going to be able to bring to the table? Yeah,
listen, Brandon's been in the sport for a long time, like 17 years, I think. And he loves NASCAR. He's got the respect of those in the industry, which is really important. We can't make every change in a week's time. Brandon understands how to work within the industry to make sure that, we are bringing, a more diverse audience, not just fans of NASCAR, right? Which, was done through part of the marketing stuff, some things that he's going to be involved with, but also, our employment base, right? Those that work at NASCAR, those that work at the race teams, those that work at the racetracks that we don't own. So, we want to see people of color at not just at our facilities, but we want them to work here. We want them to get a diversity of thought, diversity of, all things that make things go. And for us, it's also a really good business decision because you want to make sure that you're growing your fan base. You want to make sure that you're getting this diversity of thought that helps you grow.
With the recent incentive within the sport to step up on social issues, what's the next step for NASCAR in that specific department?
Yeah, it's hard to say at this particular point, what is going to be next for us. And I hate to look at it as just, hey, NASCAR's taking a position on social issues. I know our drivers specifically have really leaned into, what's going on and over the last couple of weeks. And, guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Ty Dillon, and so many others, because they believe that they have a voice, right? And that they can talk to the fan base and say, hey, listen, I may not have understood this before, but I'm really trying to understand it now, and I think I can make a difference. For us as the sanctioning body and as a sport, again, we're not specifically, trying to look at social issues and say, hey, that's a good social issue for this, or that one's not a good social issue for that. For us, it's about, hey, what can we do to create more opportunities for people to be involved in our sport? And that's what we're trying to do. So I do think that, Brandon Thompson's appointment to that particular position allows us to be more thoughtful in the space. And I think he's going to make a difference. And, I think and it will help our business overall.
Steve, myself, along with other NASCAR fans, probably got the first opportunity to know who you were through Undercover Boss. And that was nearly, over 10 years ago?
2010.
Yeah. So that whole experience, you got to see with all the ins and outs of the sport from various different aspects and various different ways of life. How beneficial was just doing that project to leading you into your leadership role today?
I think the main thing about the show, other than, in fact, that's where the guy helped me hook up the RV, by the way, because it wasn't mine. I didn't rent it. It was done for the show, and it was probably the ricketiest RV that's ever been on the planet. But this guy he was awesome, right? And he didn't know what I was doing. He didn't know who I was. And he said, hey, man, I saw your water wasn't hooked up right, and I thought I'd help you out. And, hey, do you want to making burgers tonight? You want to come over for a burger? I mean, it's what it's like to be a NASCAR fan, right? And that sense of community and family that exists. So, but the show itself, it's a long time ago. But I think what it did, it opened some people's eyes to what it's like to be a NASCAR fan, right? Just the sights and images and sounds I think the show did like 13 million views its first time out of the gate. And probably 80% of them were not NASCAR fans. Mm-hmm. As it relates to my leadership and things that I was able to glean, I think they're the things that really strike me most about what's going on in NASCAR today. Particularly when you think about coming back to racing, first without fans, and now as we transition to racing with fans in a limited standpoint, both this past weekend at Homestead and then what we're going to be doing at Talladega this weekend. And it's really about this community of NASCAR rallying around itself to make something happen. I think that NASCAR, more than any other sport, when things are its most difficult and there are its darkest days, that's when they band together and create solutions that work. And then we'll bicker about a bunch of crap that no one really cares about. And, it's just kind of silliness. But when it's really hard, I think NASCAR does hard really better than any other sport. So, and I think that's what I gleaned from that time on Undercover Boss, is that sense of community that exists within the sport, and the fact that the best brand ambassadors for the sport really are those that work for, either the sanctioning body or the race teams, or the racetracks. They're phenomenal ambassadors for us.
Steve, talking more towards this season, is there a time frame for when we'll know what the rest of the 2020 schedule is, and what options are you guys looking at this time?
Yeah, I think we'll probably know, what the balance of the schedule looks like. I would say no later than 2 weeks from now, if I had to guess, maybe a little bit sooner. What we're trying to do is we're trying to look at those states where we have to get approvals for what it is we're doing, right? So for every race that we're running this year, or coming back from that 10-week period where we were dark, we had to go to governors of each of those states, in many cases state health officials, local health officials, counties, and have discussions with them about our protocols to coming back, first racing without fans and then racing with fans. And so, if you look, we've announced the schedule through New Hampshire. There are other facilities that you guys could probably figure out that we had to pause and say, well, we need to make sure that governor is going to welcome it into their individual state. So when we have those things, which we're kind of on the precipice of right now, we'll be able to announce the schedule. And I imagine we will announce the balance of the year. We won't take another, kind of tranche of races as we did, the last go around and, kind of extend by 6 weeks. We'll probably do the entire schedule.
You kind of alluded to my next question there in that last answer, but I know you guys are hoping to get more fans back to more races in attendance as safely, as quickly as possible. But I guess, are there any specific venues or facilities in the next few weeks or few months that you guys kind of are hoping could have fans in attendance after, obviously, the Bristol All-Star race has their 30,000?
Yeah, I think if you look at the schedule, so it's been announced that, Pocono, we will be without fans. So Governor Wolf is a no. And when I talk about that, I'm not coming down on Governor Wolf. That's what he believes is right for his state. So I'm not throwing barbs at all, I promise. And, after that, we're at Kentucky. We're at Indy. And Indy has been a no and will be a no. And then we're at Kentucky, and Governor Beshear has made it clear that he doesn't believe we should be racing in front of fans there. After that, it looks like we open up a little bit, right? So All-Star move from North Carolina because Governor Cooper, wasn't ready to give us a go to racing with fans. Fine. Governor Lee in Tennessee has decided that he doesn't care and that he would like us to race in front of fans, which is welcome. The byproduct of that, obviously, is the All-Star race moves. Fans has been talking about wanting to move the All-Star race for, a decade or more. I myself, just to get on a tangent, I can't wait. I think it's going to be phenomenal. In fact, that's where I met you guys, is at Bristol.
Yeah,
it's just, can you imagine no points on the line? It's just like, checkers or records. It's going to be unbelievable. But, past that, then we go to Texas. Governor Abbott, I imagine, will want to race in front of fans. And, from there, we're kind of taking a look at what other facilities we might go to. So I think Governor Sununu in New Hampshire will be a yes. And then before that, we're at Kansas. We'll see. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to race in front of fans in Kansas. We don't have that yes yet. And then on the balance of the schedule, there's some racetracks on the schedule that most likely will be racing across the street here at Daytona International Speedway, hopefully in the same time slot that we were originally scheduled to. Not ready to announce that, but I imagine Governor DeSantis would be a big fan of us racing in front of fans as well. So we'll see. The more opportunities we can race in front of fans, but do it safely and responsibly, that's what we want. I've been at every single facility that we've raced at since we've come back. I don't go in the infield or into the footprint. Only people who are, that help put on the races or make the cars go fast or, pit crews drivers, the folks at Goodyear, Sunoco, all those folks are in the footprint. It's pristine. No one who is not essential personnel, they don't go in there. So I don't go in there. I stay on the other side. But the point that I was making is that, it's just weird. You have no pre-race activities, right? The drivers come to their cars, they get in there, you do a prayer, do the national anthem, they get in their cars, and then they're off. And there's no noise, there's no, roar of the crowd. Chase Elliott takes the lead. No one cheers. It's weird. And then at the end, it's eerily silent, right? So when our sport probably less than some others, when the cars are going, it's hard to hear crowd noise anyway. But before they fire the engines and once the engines turn off, it is just eerily quiet and it's bizarre. So, we want to have fans back. We want to do it responsibly. The fan experience is going to be a little bit different. We can't have people on pit road. We just can't. we can't have people in the garages. We can't afford to have our athletes get sick. It's really as simple as that. And although that's crappy, for me and you guys and fans who want to take part in, kind of that really cool access that NASCAR has had, we'll get back there. It's just, we can't do it right now.
What are your thoughts on the current Aero Package in all 3 series this season? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the racing that we've seen, it seems so long ago that we were at Phoenix, but the Aero Package and the Cup Series, I thought the Phoenix race was far and away the best Phoenix race we've seen in a long time, in my opinion. And I think the racing since we've been back has been great. I think the only race that I think that, they kind of got comfortable and, logged some laps was probably around the 600, the first part of the 600, and the back half of the 600 I thought was phenomenal. So, I think we've seen great racing in all 3 series. I really do. Got some great storylines coming out of it. Some unhappy drivers, unhappy with other drivers. I'm good with that. But I think the Aero packages are working. We're disappointed that, we had to, postpone the next gen car from 21 to 22. That was disappointing. We just had no choice. Vendors and different things that just didn't make that feasible. With that said, we're still working on that next gen car and making the necessary moves in order to make sure that we are on schedule and, that car is going to do, what we believe it's going to do, both from a racing standpoint, but then obviously from how the vehicle looks. So excited about 22 with that vehicle. But again, I think our racing's been, it's been phenomenal. You guys are race fans. I hope you feel the same way.
Steve, I for one am happy that the All-Star race is coming to Bristol. Being a Tennessee native, I was very happy. I'm definitely going for sure. Thinking about Nashville, Tennessee, where I live at, the award ceremonies held here last year will be held here this year. As it stands right now, with everything trying to reopen, is there any kind of concern that the award celebrations will be different this year than they were last year?
Yeah, well, I would say this. I think the award ceremony will almost certainly have to be different. It's I would say the time in our country, we'll just leave it at the pandemic, right? There are a lot of companies that have been financially, hurt or devastated in some cases, and I think we need to take we don't want to shortchange whoever that champion is going to be, but I think taking the proper tone of what that's going to look like is going to be important. Listen, the Nashville, our award ceremony last year was phenomenal, right? And all the guests who came, including myself, had an incredible time. And I think Nashville really, showed its true colors and what it means to host different events in that great city. So for us, we're excited about what the future holds for Nashville, both the city itself, ultimately, I'm not exactly sure how long we're going to have our award ceremony there, but and we haven't really announced what that looks like. But then you look at the announcement we made, with the Nashville Super Speedway. I understand that it is not in downtown Nashville. I understand it's not the fairgrounds. The fairgrounds is not ready to host a cup event. So there needs to be significant upgrades made to the facility to make it kind of cup worthy. And, no disrespect to ARCA or other race series that go there. ARCA is one of our series. I love the ARCA series. But it's not ready to host a cup event. Do I think that they're mutually exclusive, which is what I've been asked before? It's like, oh my God, you're going to go to the Nashville Super Speedway and then you'll never come to go to the fairgrounds. That's just not a true statement. But Nashville's been hit hard, right? It's been a difficult year with the tornadoes and the pandemic, and it's been hard. And so, I'm hopeful, that Governor Lee and the mayor and the people of Nashville want to create this partnership and bring NASCAR racing to the city of Nashville. Until that time, and maybe after that time, racing at Nashville Superspeedway, I think rewards the great fans that we have in the Nashville area. Frankly, we've done a ton of research on Nashville fans, and they're some of the best in the country we have. And shouldn't they be rewarded with, a race at a racetrack that hasn't run a race in a decade, and not have to travel 400 miles to go to a racetrack? I think so.
Yeah, the closest track to me is Kentucky Speedway, which is still a 3.5 hour drive.
Kind of gearing towards the future more, I wanted to ask, what's the time frame for the next gen car when it comes to testing and stuff? Is there any news that we're going to hear about that, or is that sort of an afterthought until the stuff with the pandemic goes down?
Yeah, I would say, I'm not exactly sure when the testing is going to be. We are going to have testing of the vehicle. I don't know when it is. Probably should. But our folks at our R&D center, working with our OEMs, working with our teams, they feel good about the progress that's being made. So, listen, it was going to be maybe a little bit rushed to get the car ready, tested, and built for the 2021 season. We were going to do it. We're on schedule to do it before all this mess hit, but yeah, our guys are on it. They're excited about getting it back on the racetrack. The first tests that we have they exceeded expectations. Sometimes those things are when there are a lot of different things wrong with the car and they don't meet your expectations. Sometimes that's a good thing, right? Because you solve for what those things are. They didn't have to do that. So again, we got great guys working on it who are smart and understand the mission at hand to make sure we get that vehicle on the racetrack for the 2022 Daytona 500.
We've also heard the rampant rumors about the possibilities of the 2021 schedule and beyond. We obviously know about Nashville Superspeedway, the Daytona road course being used for the Busch Clash, but are there any other surprises you can maybe tease regarding next year's schedule?
I would say in a word, no. So
we tried.
Here's what I would say. I would say that we are, had a meeting on it today. We are, we're kind of working on parallel paths, right? So we haven't even announced the balance of the 2020 season and schedule, but we are working on the 2021 schedule. I can honestly say I don't know what changes are what we're going to have other than the two changes that we've already announced. So do I think there will be? I do. But I don't know for certain. There are a lot of discussions that are going on, with various folks, and we're trying to find the sweet spot, and that sweet spot really is, because we're not going to expand the number of races that we have, which means if we're going to race at new places, that means it needs to come from an existing date. Mm-hmm. So either someone that has two dates that will have one, or one date that has none. And so we're trying to create variation in the schedule. The fans have said they want variation in the schedule. And so to the degree that we can give the fans what they want, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
So, Mr. Phelps, I want to get down to the chase
here. You
still
have to call me Steve.
Oh, sorry about that. Steve, sorry. So, Steve, thank you. So, Steve, I want to get down to the chase here. With your recent comments claiming 80% of fans are into this new low horsepower, high downforce rules package, can you give the fans, more specific detail on how your team got that percentage? And then this
Sure.
is a second parter. I'll be honest, sir, from what I've seen on social media, to an extent, The fans seem to be a little bit more in favor of a high horsepower, low downforce package. They mostly point towards the Xfinity series as being like the best form of racing in NASCAR right now. The second part of the question is, would your team be willing to possibly maybe change some things up?
Yeah, so I'll start with the data itself. So we have a 25,000 person fan panel, which we call our fan council. Our fan council is made up primarily of avid fans. So that 80-20 percentage split is coming from our fan council. So they are our most avid fans. They take time out of their day to answer the questions that we have. And if you look at the data, not just from the fans, but you look at the data of, green flag passes for the lead, margin of victory between first and second and third and fourth, number of cars on the lead lap, all those things point to success. What we did, and I think this gets lost, is that we kept taking downforce off our vehicles, and our racing got worse and worse and worse and worse. So you look at the Coke 600 where Martin Truex led 394 laps or 393 out of 400. That's kind of like saying, hey, it was a pitcher's duel, right? And hey, they hit it on all cylinders. But if we're honest, that's not a very good race, right? Or Brad Keselowski leading 450 laps at Martinsville last year. It's not a good race. And so I would suggest that the package that we have on our short tracks right now is significantly better than it was last year. Mm-hmm. So I agree. That is obviously high horsepower. And then the package that we have in our intermediate package is just better than it was when it was low downforce, high horsepower. Mm-hmm. Every statistic would look at that. So there are some people out there, and I get that would say, hey, from a purist standpoint, that's not what it should be. I'll give you that. But I think that, the purists in this case are, even the purists would say, well, maybe the racing isn't as good. Now, I think it should be high horsepower, but I think the 550 package is one that that has produced the best racing that we've had in a long, long time. So I don't envision us going to a different package. What I think we will see in the new car is the opportunity to have, instead of two different vehicles, you just have one, and the changes you can make from one, from a road course and short tracks to super speedway or intermediate tracks is far simpler in the new vehicle, and will come with significant savings for the race teams. Mm-hmm. And I know fans don't really care about the teams saving money, but we need to have healthy teams. Mm-hmm. Healthy teams, put the best drivers in the vehicles and, really put on the best racing we can.
Absolutely. Thank you for answering that question. Appreciate it.
Steve, with obviously there's been a lot more attention to NASCAR over the last few weeks because certain headlines have definitely made it more popular than anything, but obviously it's been pretty much one of the few sports out there competing. With this added attention, has there been any interest from any other manufacturers in the possibility of trying to find a way into the sport in future years?
Yeah, to be honest, we've been so consumed with making sure we're getting back on the racetrack, both initially without fans and then with fans. The discussions with the OEMs has been put on pause right now. We're in discussions with a number of them, and I think there's significant interest. There are a few industries that have been hit as hard as the auto industry has in the second quarter, and late in the first quarter. So, those conversations will ramp back up, later in the year. We've made no secret that we would like to have another OEM, and maybe even two. And we'll work towards that goal. But right now it hasn't been the focus.
Understandable.
Steve, we have almost 500 people watching right now, and they have some questions. One of them I saw in the chat that I'm actually kind of curious about is, with Dover Motorsports owning the Nashville Super Speedway, is Dover going to be losing a playoff race, or are they going to just be losing the one in the spring?
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb. I'll probably get myself in trouble, which is probably not the first time this has happened. So Dover, when the schedule came out in 2020, Dover got pushed into August. So they got taken out of the playoffs, right? And then they obviously had the spring race. The spring race is one of the races that's been postponed. So I believe, and I could be wrong about this, but I think I'm right, is that the spring Dover race is the race that is going to go to Nashville Super Speedway. And so the August date, if it remains at that same day, and I'm not suggesting that it's going to, would remain at Dover. And I will say this: the folks at Dover have been a great partner in all of this. They own that facility. We thought it was a good solution to get back to Nashville in the shortest way possible. There's been some really good racing there. It is not a cookie cutter mile and a half that fans quote complain about. I believe it's 1.3 miles and it's concrete. I think it's going to be unique, and that's what fans want. They don't want the same; they want unique. And I think, the Dover racetrack itself is unique for sure. 1 mile concrete, high banked. But I think the fans were like, we'd like to go somewhere else. We think it would be better not to go to Dover twice, but hey, let's try something new. And that's exactly what we did.
Another question that some of them have has to do with actually some of the big news from yesterday, the Hamline Lajoie feud that was going on. I guess, what are your thoughts or NASCAR's official thoughts on that, and what went down, even if it's not specific, what kind of went down in that meeting with them and NASCAR yesterday?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I wasn't part of those discussions. I'm here in Florida. I'm sure they had a discussion with the guys, Jay Fabian, who's the series director there, and some of the competition guys, with Corey and with Denny. I don't know how the beef started. Saw a little bit on Twitter. I try to stay off Twitter as much as I can. But it's, I don't know. Listen, I know both guys. They're both really good guys. I don't know how they got themselves into this, kind of into this mess and why it's kind of exploded into what it's gone into. But, they'll figure it out. These guys they're two really good race car drivers, and two really good guys, and they'll get it worked out.
Another question here from one of our donators is asking, is there a possibility one day of a cup race on dirt, maybe Knoxville or Eldora?
I wouldn't rule anything out. It really has to do with, and I'm not suggesting, it's Eldora or anywhere else, but I think if you'd asked me 2 years ago, I would have said no. I think we're open to things. And again, we need to get industry buy-off on doing that. So we would not make a unilateral decision. So we would ask fans. I think most fans would say, hey, that'd be pretty cool. We need to make sure the OEMs are on board. We obviously need to make sure that the drivers and the teams are on board. And then we need to find the right facility, right? That's going to be cup worthy. And so a lot to go, kind of into that. But, is it something we explore in the future? It's probably something we'd explore.
I think myself as a fan, wouldn't be a bad idea for a future all-star idea.
Yeah, not at all.
And then one last question, Steve, from one of our fans is asking, has there ever been a thought or discussion about maybe going to Montreal and having them return to the Cup Series, or just international racing for the Cup Series in general?
Yeah, again, I'd put it in that bucket of, we're going to look at everything, right? So could we potentially look at racing at Montreal or Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or go down to Mexico City? Those are more difficult discussions. and again, require significant industry buy-in and buy-off on what those things could be. I think would be great for, we've got a ton of Canadian fans, right, who would love to go see a Cup race. And we've got races up there. We had Xfinity races, obviously, at Montreal. And very cool. I went to one of the races up there when we had it there. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, I think they do a really good job with the racing that we've had up there at that facility. And went to Mexico City before with the Xfinity series, and they had 100,000 people there. And so we've got a lot of great race fans down in Mexico, and Danny Suarez kind of holding the banner for that. And Danny's he's such a great guy and a great brand ambassador for us as a sport, both in Mexico and in this country. So again, I wouldn't rule it out. I would say that the likelihood of that happening in the 21 season is pretty much a long shot, but I wouldn't rule it out.
Well, Steve, we know you're busy, and we just want to thank you again for coming on tonight with us. And hopefully we see you at Bristol at the All-Star race. All four of us will be there.
That's awesome. Well, I will be there as well. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be, if you look at the race that we had there a few weeks ago, I thought the racing was awesome. Mm-hmm. Think about guys not worrying about where they're going to finish. Bump and run. I mean, it's going to be, I know there are multiple grooves there, and you can run multiple grooves and kind of diamond the corners and do different things that create, some really cool passing opportunities, which is exactly what they did. But a lot easier just to move a guy, I suppose. But we'll see.
Just think what Chase Elliott did for a points race. Imagine what he'll do for $1 million.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't wait.
Can't wait.
All right, guys. Hey, man, I appreciate your time. I know it's been a long time coming, and every time it looked like we were going to get this done, I had another crisis that occurred. So I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you guys in Bristol.
Yes, we look forward to seeing you there too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And I want to address in the chat, let me see, Beast of Metal, about the Martinsville question. That's a deal with the tracks. There were some other questions coming in, and I knew I could address that after the fact. That has to do specifically with Martinsville Speedway, not with NASCAR in particular. And now I think
let's get the legend in here.
Yeah, let's see. There was another one that popped up here. Any changes to the championship format? From who we've talked to, that would be a no. They're keeping the same one next year. So,
let me just say this really quick. Name me another sport in this country where the president of that said sport comes on a podcast like this. I can't. So,
exactly.
And you know what?
We are very grateful. This started off as two guys talking about whatever after a Daytona race, and it's grown into this. And we're very thankful for the people at NASCAR for working so close with us and being willing to support us along the way.
Yes, and also too, addressing the package question too. I believe he handled that pretty well. Obviously, there were some answers that some people in the chat didn't like, but he was straight up honest with you. He's like, "This is the direction we're going. We're not changing it." So that's basically the whole deal. Basically, I feel like constantly talking about it now would be beating a dead horse at this point. We got the answer. It is what it is. You do as you please. So
I think you said it best though a minute ago, Darian, is the fact that that's a top executive of the top motorsport in the United States coming on our show and talking and being very candid about a lot of those answers. He took that question head on, and I think it is safe to say that NASCAR has more information or more details, more data to look at than any of us do when they come to make decisions. And obviously, when they make decisions regarding the rules package or regarding the schedule, they have more than just one group of people they're trying to please. They have to please the drivers, the fans, sponsors, OEMs, all that type of stuff. And I think right now they've done a very good job. And I think the last couple of years, especially with their current leadership, they've done an excellent job of balancing all those things and being much more open and honest and willing to speak on a more controversial, maybe not, like things like the Aero Package, things like the schedule and whatnot. They've been much more willing to speak about that. So I was really impressed with Steve being that honest with us. That was really awesome to have him be on the show. I hope everyone enjoyed that.
Absolutely.
And for the chat, I know we were over it for a while, but we're just under 500. Click that like button.
Yes.
Before we get Gino in here, I do want to tease something. We do have we're not going to say it now. We're gonna make you wait till the end of the show, but we do have a bit of an announcement.
Hey, it's a big one too. It's a big one.
It's a big one, and I think that especially longtime viewers of this show are really going to like it. But it's about the guests we're having on the next 2 weeks, so be sure to watch for that. And while we're waiting to get Gino in here, I want to thank all of you guys for the super chats. I couldn't get through all of them, and the way this is you can't see some of them in here. Beast of Metal, like that's why I'm glad that I was able to clear that up before like anything, because it's just one of those things where it's like I could clear it up afterwards, and I didn't want to, if on any other people. Let me see if there's some of the other. Same with like Luke Swan with the Honda one. We kind of covered that during the interview. We're not sure yet, but when we get that answer, we'll be sure to tell.
We will.
Let me see if there's any other ones. Andrew with the Jocko Flacco. Yeah, here's what you guys don't realize about this garage is that like if I had all the fans on, you wouldn't be able to hear me and people would be upset. It's hot.
He's sweating
in here.
Really
it is so hot.
now.
I am. I finished a water. I have half a water still to go and another one behind that and a Powerade. And then Levi, thank you for thanking Steve, and thank you for your donation as well. And thank you again to Andrew about thanking him. Let's see. And then Mask EI official said 10 house lap one at Talladega. Watch out, piggies. And then I think Jake just left one. It's weird how it's set up on this. I can't see the newest super chat.
He just said, now that Steve is gone, cheese. Okay, Jake. Thank you, Jake.
Let me check the lobby. I don't see Gino yet, but I guess we can get into the two races that we have to get into. We got a lot to talk about this week.
Oh,
good
Lord.
Just thinking about that. We have two races to talk about on top of a ton of news, and there's a lot in the lightning round too. And wow, I didn't even have to go too far into it. And look who jumps in as we speak.
The legend returns. We haven't had him on the podcast since season 1.
That's right.
He's back. Hey, buddy. What's up, G? How's it going, bro?
What's up, guys?
Oh my.
That is not a Jeff Gordon shirt. What are you wearing?
It's a beautiful shirt.
I'm wearing a nice classic Dale Jr. shirt. Repping up the King of Beers back from like his early days, 2000s, early 2000s. Yeah.
The latest Hall of Famer.
That looks like it's either rookie or 1999, which means I am even more jealous.
I think it's 99 because I have a set of them, and one of them is Gordon's rainbow shirt. So, Jarrett, I picked Junior over Gordon tonight just for you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very appreciated. So I guess we're just going to go right into it onto the Martinsville race. That was the one that we had the show on before last week. So, Gina, we'll start with you. You're our guest. What did you think of the Martinsville race last week?
I thought the first 400 laps were outstanding, and then Truex Truex the show like he usually does. He kind of just takes off and leaves the field behind him. I thought it was fantastic racing, though. We had a nice little battle for the lead between, I believe it was Keselowski, Logano, and Elliott was kind of in there as well. Some good racing throughout. Bubba had a great drive. I was really impressed with what Bubba Wallace could do that night. And just hats off to Truex. He had a great car, and I believe he had a commitment cone violation, sent him to the back, and he still drove right back up to the front. It's pretty impressive.
Yes, and let me just say this: the Black Lives Matter car, most beautiful paint scheme in the field. Bubba Wallace 11th. Let me tell you something. Bubba Wallace is a dark horse playoff contender. Dark horse. I mean, he could lock himself into the playoffs this weekend. I mean, right now, currently 19th in the standings, minus 50 below the cut line, somewhere around 19th and 20th after the first 12 races so far. Last year, he was 29th, so a 10 spot swing right there. So they definitely have their stuff together this year. As far as the racing goes, like Gio said, the final 100 laps were a snoozer. As soon as Truex took the lead, I was like, yep, it's over. Bye-bye. See you later, buddy, because he was not giving that up. And I had no idea his new crew chief was Australian. That's brand new. We haven't had a notable Australian in NASCAR since Marcus Ambrose. And I was watching today's old race, the 2012 Michigan race on NASCAR's channel, and I was like, damn, we had it so good back in the day, man. I miss Marcus Ambrose so much, man. I wish he would come back and do some racing here.
He was a treasure that we did not take proper consideration.
We didn't, man. He would be so appreciated in today's NASCAR. So Marcus, please come back.
Yeah, piggybacking off that though, Danny, what did you think of Martinsville?
I thought Martinsville was a good race. It had a lot of new eyes on it for sure because of everything that was going on, specifically with Bubba, which I think is great. I love seeing Alvin Kamara and how avid that he has gotten into it. Obviously, I'm a Tennessee volunteer graduate. Actually, Alvin Kamara's like his junior and senior year, he was in the same like years at UT that I was. He lived in the same building as me at UT, so it was always cool because every now and again I just be riding the elevator with Alvin Kamara. There he is right there.
Wow.
And
Who was the NFL player on Twitter that was asking all the questions? Pollard, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Bernard
Yeah.
Pollard. He was an underrated safety back in his day, man.
And thank you, B. Smell, for the 250. I, for one, miss Juan Pablo. I have to admit, I miss him too.
We do.
But Eric, what did you think of Martinsville?
Yeah, I think not a lot else to add besides what you guys said. Bubba had a standout performance. I thought it was funny in the first stage seeing Corey LaJoie go by Denny Hamlin for like 14th. I mean, we'll talk about that later on.
Cool.
And you're right. I think the first 400 laps were fantastic. Truex, watching him come from the back and get back to the lead after that commitment penalty was very impressive. But once he got the lead, it was pretty much over. I thought it was notable, though, that all 3 Penske cars finished in the top 5. So it was also interesting that Truex had such a good run, but his teammates, notably Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, absolutely sucked. Like, if you remember, guys, those first like 60 laps before the competition yellow, you had like Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, Cole Custer, several other, I can't remember specifics, but there were a few other like playoff drivers that were a lap down after less than 60 laps. And I just thought that was crazy with no practice, how badly some people missed the setups. So I thought that was really noteworthy. It put a really weird turn on the race, gave it a really weird strategy play. Pretty much the entire race, you were not just watching the battle for the lead, but we're also watching the battle for the lucky dog spot just because of the good cars that were battling for it. So,
yeah. That I want to piggyback off that. I think this race is a perfect example of why the battle for the lead isn't like the most important, or like, well, it is the most important, but it's not the only factor when it comes to liking a race. So like, because there were tons of battles, Bubba flying up through there, and if it wasn't for I think it was Cole Custer, which I don't know why, being 2 laps down, he was racing lead lap cars like that. I think even with fresh tires, I think give them the. I think it's a rookie mistake on his part. Just give them the respect, let them race it out. That's their race. You have no way of getting past them. But I mean, he would have got a top 10 there, and he's been showing a lot more speed this year. But I thought overall it was pretty good. I wish that it was on main Fox instead of FS1, but I know they got their pro. They can't change their programming, but it got 1.7 million viewers, which, I mean, it was better than the compared one that the comparison they could have from last year.
I think it was Dover from last year. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that was a rain out too. If I'm not mistaken.
It was a rain out. It was ran on Monday.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. And overall, I mean, looking at the poll, which we set a record. We actually set 2 records this week, but we set a record. I asked what you thought of the 2020 Blue Emo Maximum Pain Relief 500. Yes, I am a corporate shill in that regard. 6.7 thousand of you voted.
6.7K, a new poll record. Jesus.
At 15% of you thought it was a great race. 60% thought it was good. 18% of you are like how I normally am, a milquetoast fence setter. 4% of you thought it was below average, and 3% of you thought it was bad. Net negativity, 7%. Net positivity, 75%. And I'm looking through, there were a few right off the bat. NASCAR Sam put the reason why Corey LaJoie stayed out at the end of the stage was to trap Denny at a lap down.
Yep.
Which I thought was
Good
funny.
man. Good man.
Tank Slapper with the nice Bobby Labonte thumbnail here says that Stuart Haas alternator.exe has stopped working. That's pretty cool. Shout out to Michael McDowell and Corey LaJoie. Both were consistently up in the top 20 throughout the race. And that's what I love about short track racing overall. I'm going to scroll down because we have 2 polls and 2 races to go over, so we can't go as in depth this week as we would like to. I did like, I'm surprised no one pointed out, Jimmy was racing up front during this race.
Yeah, I mean,
you won a stage, didn't he?
Yeah,
Stage
he
2,
did.
I think.
He did. Jimmy Johnson is back, but I mean, you can tell, he is at that point of his career where, I mean, how many times, 10 years ago would he have won, being in that same situation? You know what I mean? So, still a top 10, but I don't know. It's just, it feels weird to see him, even though he's running good, not dominating on a weekly basis.
Ian from Wii Sports, I think, put it right. I wouldn't agree on his final rating of it, but I agree with his take here. It wasn't that bad. Got boring, though, at some points. Overall, 8 out of 10. Happy for Truex to get his first one with a new crew chief. I'd say 6 or 7. I wouldn't give it an 8, but I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't as bad as last year's Martinsville race.
No.
That was the one that
Phelps talked about.
And the last comment is from Denny Delivers, giving the Blue Emu. He's giving the summary of the race, and there's just a lot out here.
You must have had that ready to copy paste in there to be the first comment.
Probably.
I think he typed it out. It looks more like
it's formatted.
It's his own. It looks like it's not just a formatted writing.
Well, I guess he would have typed it up somewhere else and just had it ready for the moment the poll was put up.
But then, okay, so we got Martinsville, but then we turn around and we got Homestead on Sunday. So I guess we'll go in reverse order here. Eric, what did you think about the Homestead race this past Sunday night?
I mean, I thought overall it was a decent race, maybe slightly better than last November's race. Obviously, all the delays, and we can talk about the lightning delays that that policy is what it is, and it's there for safety purposes. But man, it creates some frustrating afternoons. Like what was it? Multiple times, drivers were basically getting in their cars when another lightning strike hit, which sent us back another half an hour. That was it was painful. It was agonizing, but it pushed the race into Sunday evening. And ultimately, I thought it was a pretty solid race from start to finish. I thought, even though it ended with some very long green flag runs, the top 3, top 4 were never more than maybe 2 seconds apart. And so, while dirty air came to play late in the run where everyone wanted to run the top, and you couldn't really do that and stay close to the guys. Chase Elliott kind of could. He could kind of stay close to Hamlin, but he couldn't do that forever. So that part was a little bit frustrating, but up until that, I thought it was still a good race, and you could tell the leaders were only one mistake away from costing themselves a good finish. Tyler Reddick was a standout performer, as a lot of people expected. I think a couple people on this panel picked him as their underdog pick last week, so that was definitely a good choice. I'll also shout out Christopher Bell, another rookie. He had his career best finish, finished 8th, so a couple of rookies ran well at Homestead, Miami, but it was Denny Hamlin with all the conversation, the controversy between him and Lajoie lurking in the background. He's the one who got the win. That's his 3rd win of the year. We don't realize, guys, Kyle Busch is winless. Eric Jones is winless. I mean, that's not as surprising. Martin Truex has 1 win, and Denny here's got 3 wins, including a Daytona 500. He is rolling nice and easy right now. And this is also, I believe, his first race with Chris Gabehart back on the box after that 4-race suspension. So I think the rest of the field should take notice of what the two of them are going to be capable of.
Thank you, Jet. Really quick, Jet donated $3. Here's $3, Jarrett. Oh, a nice color, Darian.
Yeah, I had to change the shirt, man. I had to change it, man. It's getting too hot.
Danny, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, I think I kind of called it a little bit last week where I said that Hamlin would struggle at Martinsville without his regular crew there, which he did. And now I picked Kyle Busch to win at Homestead, but I did agree with, I think it was Eric who said it, that Joe Gibbs would be the class of the field. So I was right. And then when it came down to the actual race day, I did change my NASCAR fantasy pick to Denny Hamlin, so I still got that right too.
And really quick, Beast of Metal 1989 at the $5 super chat says, Kyle Busch, has anyone considered that he's not winning because of his relationship with Stevens has run its course? Happened with Rogers and Addington too. It's natural. That's something I should have probably touched on that this past week when I did that video on him.
Great video, by the way. I enjoyed it.
That was a good one.
Thank you. That could be very possible, because I mean, from the Pocono race last year up till now, he has 1 race win, and it was the one that mattered. So you could definitely say that Adam Stevens came in clutch. At the same time, though, I mean, Denny Hamlin's crew basically was like, "Oh, no, we don't need it. We'll just leave," and then Truex's crew was like, "No, we'll switch the tires. You can have it." But at the same time, he did go out and win that race. I'm not going to take that away from him. So that's very possible, but go ahead.
Let me tell you something here. Denny Hamlin could win 8 races, get a bunch of poles, bunch of top 5s, top 10s, have one of the greatest average finishes in NASCAR history. And you know what? It won't mean a damn thing without that championship. So, I mean, we've seen this song and dance before. Hamlin gets off to an amazing start, but then come, crunch time. I mean, last year, Homestead was supposed to be the year. It's like, okay, finally he's going to get his championship. And, he won at Homestead, just not at the right time. So I'm going to hold off on, talking about Denny Hamlin, or anything to do with, the Cup Series championship, those two together, because I have to see it, and you have to see it, in Phoenix. And also Tyler Reddick is a stud.
Until the last lap.
Until the last lap, of course. That was probably the funniest thing I have ever seen a driver do during a race, because you don't expect it to happen. These guys are so in the zone. And the funniest part was he was like, "Good job, guys." And then his crew chief was like, "Go! Go! You're still going! Go!" And then not only that, he kept talking. He was like, "Yeah, good job, guys, good job." And then his spotter was like, "Fucking go! You need to go! Stop! Go!" But he still got the fourth place finish. Though.
Which proves how good of a driver he was, that he had that big of a gap that he could let off for half a lap and still be fine.
Yeah, he's a beast. And also, shout out to Austin Dillon too, man. He had his kid, what's his name now? Ace Dillon too. That's a cool name. I like that name. But I talked a bunch of crap about him at the very beginning of the season. I'm like, what the hell is he doing in this 3? You know what? I think Tyler Reddick lit a fire under him and that team, because they're like, man, we've been here for years, sure, you have a 500 and a Coke 600, but I mean, what else you got, man? I mean, and then all of a sudden your rookie teammate and, this team that finished 25th, 26th in the standings last year is showing you up.
It is partly a different team, though. It's part of the
It is partly
team.
A different team. But the 3 team has stepped up, and attaboy to him. Also, talking about some other drivers in the field, Eric Jones, we were talking about his contract situation before the show. He is in talks for an extension. Me personally, I got to see a little bit more from him. I know some of this stuff has been, mechanical failures and just overall bad luck. And but it's not really good when the only thing I know him for this season is after he crashed at Phoenix before the pandemic. Mike Joy and Jeff Gordon are like, ha, 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 you know what I mean, just laughing. So he was a part of the meme there. But other than that, he's kind of forgettable this season, and it's really disappointing, because when he joined the 20 team, there was a lot of hype around him. People were looking at him as this next big thing, possibly because of his performance, the year prior in the 77 Furniture Row 5-hour energy Toyota. So I guess some people have been expecting more, but then again, when you have 2 Cup champions and a nearly Cup champion as your teammate.
Is this true?
What?
The chat saying breaking news: Xfinity and Cup lineups for Talladega have been released.
Yeah. I said Justin Haley got the pole for the Xfinity, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So but anyways, my point is, I gotta see. I gotta see more. Eric, I know that's your boy. I know that's your team, but I gotta see more, man.
He says,
a little bit more.
You know what, Darren? I bet because you're saying this, he's probably gonna have a breakout.
And you know what? He probably is.
This usually happens when you talk
does.
bad about somebody, that they will do exactly.
Hey, with Austin doing, look at him. He just all of a sudden just started.
Hey,
I'm like, what the?
Hey, in the last 12 months, Eric Jones has the exact same number of Cup wins as his teammate Kyle Busch.
Don't start. Do not start.
Actually, he also won the Busch Clash this year, so he has more wins than
Kyle. That's right. He did win the Busch
year.
Clash. That's right.
Boy.
He did.
Oh, really quick. Let me see what this one has to say, and then Gino, I want to hear your thoughts on Homestead. Shout out to the guys that changed the tire after the interview. Also, I got a question. Eric, are you really 6'7"?
Yes, I am.
He's God, you're a whole foot taller than
that
me.
really says anything.
I remember at Bristol, I was standing next to you, Eric, and all these people are saying this, and I just look at you. I'm like, so have you ever heard your tall before?
I have a bass guitar here. Let me see. So it's just
But you
sitting
play
on the
bass?
ground. Yeah, here we go. All right, bass guitars are stretchy.
Wait a minute, Eric, you play bass?
Not really. I bought this thing a few weeks ago because during quarantine I wanted to learn a musical instrument.
Oh, I gotta do that.
I was about to say,
I've learned
Should have played mayonnaise.
a lot cheaper.
My dad's probably at home right now watching this, and he's like, Eric is officially my favorite YouTuber now.
Yeah.
My dad's a bass player, so
I figured I'm tall and I have long fingers and it sounds really cool, so I thought I'd try it. I know maybe 10 or 15 classic riffs and stuff that I can just kind of strum in my bedroom. I'll play for the show one of these days. I'll record a new intro for us.
Idea. Can you learn to play the Out of the Groove theme song?
I should. I do not.
No.
I do not know how to play it.
It's funny, as I say that, my dad texts me, hell yeah! So, but Gino, what are your thoughts, man, on the Homestead race?
All right. So, as a lot of people know, I'm an avid Chase Elliott fan, and I was a little upset about the whole Logano blocking Elliott thing, racing him hard. After the race, Logano, I believe, said something about we're even now, to some extent of that. So I would love to say a massive thank you to Joey Logano, because Chase Elliott could have finished like 35th with a wrecked race car, but instead he still got second. So I'm proud of Joey Logano for like not deliberately taking Chase Elliott out, but I don't know. I still think Hamlin would have won the race. I mean, there was still like 30 laps to go. I don't think Elliott would have been able to hold him off for that long. But I was just impressed. I was impressed with. I'm continue to be impressed by the 9 team. I think they're finally stepping up to the plate. Chase Elliott's kind of showing his full potential this year. I'm a little worried that it's more or less the package, but I'm hoping it's his actual talent showing up to the plate, and he's still got to finish off on those late race runs. He's still struggling here and there. Some, albeit not his fault, like the Coke 600. Like, come on, like he's kind of a sitting duck in that situation. But I thought Homestead was great. Denny definitely deserved the victory. He had, without a doubt, the best car. Ryan Blaney had a great short run car. I think if we would have got a late race caution, I think Blaney probably could have got the victory. And I'm just waiting for Blaney to get a win this year. He's just like Chase Elliott. At least Elliott's got the win, but still, him and Chase have both been right there throughout the first 10 or so races this year. Blaney easily could have won Vegas, easily could have won what was the second race? California. He had a good car there. I think Blaney's well overdue. He's vastly unlucky, like what happened at Bristol with Ty Dillon. I'm just waiting on Ryan Blaney to knock down that door too. I think Blaney and there you go, Darian. I think Blaney and Chase could very well be some great playoff contenders come playoff time.
I gotta tell you, for Blaney, when we go to the Bristol All-Star race, that's going to be one I want to watch out for. I know his day ended pretty early, but I think Chase Elliott's going to have a strong chance at the All-Star race, but Blaney, though, watch out for him there.
Let me tell you something. This is
really quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Because I want to get into what I had said, and I want to see what the poll has to say. But we got a few super chats. Bryce Sizemore says, now everything's going to be about your height for a little bit now, Eric. I'm sorry.
Just like high school.
He says Eric sounded disappointed when he said he was 6'7". I wish I was that tall. And then Earnhardt Productions, I think it was, said that you're taller than Abe Lincoln was. And then Beast of Metal 1989 for $10 says it's foolish to expect elite production from any driver under the age of 24. Neurological development is incomplete before that point. Specifically, the areas that govern decision making and impulse control. That's a really good way to look at it.
Explain Jeff
really
Gordon.
is.
Bringing science to the NASCAR Weekly podcast.
Prodigy.
What is this sorcery?
Jeff Gordon's a prodigy.
That's true.
But I mean, look at Joey Logano. Because he came in 2009. He turned 19 that year, right?
Yes, I think so.
I believe
so. In 2010, he turned 20, 2011, 21,
He's
22.
He's only 30 years old.
So yeah, I mean, he was around.
Balding.
But he looks 50. I'm sorry.
He's so.
Yeah.
I'm
so
sorry,
mean.
bro.
I'm not making fun of anybody balding knowing my hair.
Bro.
I'm sorry. I said it before. I just feel bad. 30 visions went away a little bit, and hair line is going away. I only have 5 years, so
Joey Logano is a 55-year-old man trapped in a 30-year-old man's body, and it's so obvious the way he acts. But here's the thing, though. And my roommate said it best. He is like so memeable, and he is so nerdy in a good way, in a funny way. But you have no choice but to respect his talent too.
Oh my God! There's another super chat. It says that, by the way, I'm 6'6", so I want proof. # July Daytona. Well, Daytona's not. Well,
it's
August.
Somebody tell him.
I'll give my take though on Homestead before we get to see what everybody in the chat thought in the poll. I liked the Homestead race overall when we could race. I think, because you look at the ratings, I think it was like 2.8 or 2.9 million viewers, which on main Fox isn't the greatest. But again, we had all these delays, so it's still not comparable. But I liked it overall. I have to admit, I really did like the whole deal back and forth. I was upset just in the moment because I did want to see Chase Elliott win in that car because that car is bad.
It is. It's great.
Awesome.
It looked great under the lights. It did.
But I thought it was pretty good. And apparently I missed a super chat. But I got the whole list pulled up right here. So I don't know. What super chat did I miss? If I missed it, let me know.
Did he miss one?
I don't think I did.
They're probably trolling.
Yeah, trolling.
You're good. Good on you. But overall, I thought it was better than the Martinsville race overall. I liked that there were a lot of comers and goers. I liked the fact that there were some people that just seemed lost that were in really good teams. And there are other people in teams, Bubba's team again, that 43 car was driving up there close to the top 10 again. And it's continuous improvement. They got that new crew chief who I believe people were telling me is Australian. So that's.
So wait, over at RPM?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They do have a new crew chief. That's right. Hey, all these Australians, yes, come into racing. I love it.
And so overall, there's a lot to be happy about with it. It was a lot better than last year's race, and I was at the race, and so that I'd have a bias just because when you're at the race, it's better than on TV, in my opinion. I thought it was
that's
better
how
than
Michigan is. That's 100% how Michigan
is. It is. I've went to like 5 or 6 Michigan races, and it always is better in person than on TV, even if it's a great race. But the chat, or more specifically the poll, we broke another record. Darian, do your thing.
Oh, yeah,
Break the mic.
A new poll record. Let's go.
We got 7,000 votes. We hit 7K for the first time. I asked, what'd you think of the 2020 Dixie Vodka 400? Again, chill for the race name. Great was 11% of the vote. 57% of you thought that it was good. 23% thought it was average. 5 said below average. 4% said bad. Net negativity of 9%. Net positivity of 68%. I almost said 66 because I have Star Wars on the mind.
Almost 69.
Thomas Apple said 100,000 times better than Atlanta. It was better. I don't know. If
I'd say about a good 25 times better.
Fish Production says finally we get to see more than 4 drivers on track at Homestead from the TV perspective. True.
That was true. Yeah.
NASCAR Stop Motion and More said huge improvement over last year's Homestead race. Nonetheless, good but not great, and a solid last 30 laps. I swear the 9 is cursed though. It feels.
I think the 11 was the better car.
That 9 car should have won at least 4 races this year, so there is a little bit with that.
All right, the people who watch my channel love this. Austin 25 62 56 said the weather was a strange animal. That's what I know.
Yeah,
I get. Let's see. I'm not gonna say it, but somebody put the Quagmire Show theme song. And I love it. I love that. Motorsports Fan 17 put the lyrics to Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue, and I know what I'm going to be listening to tonight. Hey, this dude named Jake Baskinger is in here.
What's up, Jake?
He said, I don't know about you guys, but I had tons of fun watching those final laps. I did too. I've been having more fun this year than 2019, and then same can be said for 2019, 2018.
You got another super chat.
What? Who is it? What's it say? I can't see it right now.
Judson's Racing Network. Yeah, what's up, buddy? What's up, man? Thank you for the $2. Question: what are your guys' favorite movies?
1 second, I'll get right to that. I just want to see who the last one is, and then we'll get right to that for the lightning round. And there's over 300 comments this time. That takes a little while, but there's a lot of people who are. There's a lot of people that say a lot of things that I can't say on here. Because I was like, I'm going to read that one. No, I'm not. You can imagine. Last comment was Glass Joe said it was below average because Logano and Hamlin led the most laps and Hamlin won.
Right.
And some would say biased. But thank you, everybody, for voting in the polls, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the race. But I want to see there's another one, too. But favorite movie, if we're just doing that really quick, you guys really quick, I'll give mine first. Jurassic Park is my all-time favorite movie. Always will be. Always has been. Always.
Titanic. No, I'm playing. No.
Yes.
No. Jurassic Park. I love Jurassic Park.
Yes. I know.
That's my answer. Right on, Jared.
You're a big Jurassic Park fan. Remember, you wrote a short story for Jurassic Park with the raptors in the house, right?
Yes, I did. I've still been working on that actually, here and there.
I got Crichton vibes out of it, man.
So I personally love the Joker, the new Joker movie that came out last year with Joaquin Phoenix. It was so super cool. It was creepy as hell sometimes, but like it was such a good movie.
I'll go either The Incredibles or the first 3, the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy.
I really like this. Something I like watching war movies. They're very entertaining. Especially when made correctly. And I actually watched one this week that is one of the best of all time, Gettysburg, telling the story of the Civil War.
Yes, that is I love that one. And then really quick, we got another one. A $5 super chat from Cottonformation 07 says RPM's crew chief is Jerry Baxter, who was Bubba's crew chief at KBM from 13 and 14 with 5 wins. And in 2015, they won 4 races. 2014 finished 3rd in the points. So good crew chief with a good driver makes
I
good
didn't
results.
even know that. I thought it was the same guy from. Oh, I didn't.
Good on you.
Okay.
Good on you.
No wonder
Good
Bubba's
research.
running better, dude. That's okay. That's great. That's great.
And
then
I think this year they bought new cars as well.
They
I remember
did.
hearing
They
they
did.
got to
That's right.
upgrade on that department. So
Yeah, I
And
didn't
then
even know that.
I see some people in there asking about Phelps. He was on earlier, but if you stay tuned in the next hour or so, we have a pretty big announcement on future guests.
We got something nice for y'all.
But if you guys are down, let's get the lightning round out of the way. There's a lot of stuff, and then there's a lot of stuff even after that we can talk about too, if you all are good.
All right, take your microphones off. In 3, 2.
Maybe back up.
And it's time for the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Jarrett, what do we have on tap?
Okay, from Bob Pockris, Russell Crowe is going to give the command at Talladega.
for the Xfinity race,
The
right?
Xfinity race.
Not even the Cup race. It's the Xfinity race.
It's the whatever one that his new movie is sponsoring. When's the last time Russell Crowe was in a good movie, though?
I don't know. It's been forever.
Thank you, Steven, for the 99 cents. That, like I said, every bit is appreciated. So it's awesome. Mm-hmm. Jeff Gluck reported, and Dale Jarrett reported this, that Dale Jarrett has tested positive for COVID-19, but it's a mild case. He says he's doing really well. So
thank God.
best of luck to DJ.
Thank God it's all that.
Bob Pockris had announced that IndyCar IMSA driver James Davison was to drive the number 77 at Dega. Now it will be at Pocono. He's not cleared for Talladega. I kind of think that, why one but the other? I don't know. But so that'll be his first oval start. Is Pocono? I don't know. I have no idea. Well, there's a reason. So oval. But I don't know for sure, if he's going to be in both races or one. We'll have to see. Bob Pockris also reported that Brandon Thompson, who we've all met, was appointed to NASCAR VP of Diversity and Inclusion. So congratulations to him. He's a really nice guy.
Yes.
I think Darren, you and I think talked to him a bit.
We
Daytona,
talked to him. Remember, it was him and Rajah. It was during the Xfinity race.
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's
it
right.
Was him. Yeah. He's such a awesome guy. He's been in the sport since 2003, so he's seen the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. So for those people saying he only got it because of a certain reason, you're not being honest.
And Nick Bromberg reported, this is something that all of us going to the All-Star race need to know. All attending the All-Star race will need to fill out a form to assume all liability for COVID exposure. That's why wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
I got my own custom mask I made for myself.
I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna get mine soon.
That thing is sharp.
Well, you better hurry up. Hold on. This thing's hot as hell.
But wear a mask, guys. Come on.
Should I just talk? Should I just do the rest of the lightning round with this on?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll do mine.
Can you hear me
extra
well?
safe?
Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
I'm good. Okay.
What?
Oh no. Also, I love Clint Boyer's patriotic scheme. I don't care how mad it makes anyone. I just like the poke, just because it's funny. Bob Pockris reported that fields will be set due to random draw inverts for the doubleheaders, at least through August 2nd. That's why we didn't ask Steve Phelps about that when he was on, just because it was already confirmed. Going back, Adam Stern said, and we talked about this a little bit too with Mr. Phelps, that the Confederate flag is expected to be added to the list of things for security to look for among sweeps. So like you said, it's going to be enforced. This thing is hot as hell. I think all of us can agree on this thing here, this topic here. Congratulations to Austin and Whitney Dillon on the birth of their son, Ace Dillon. From what it sounded like, everything went well. So congratulations to those two. The Wendell Scott Foundation has announced that it will be opening a museum dedicated to Wendell Scott. So I know that whenever that opens, I want to go and see it. Dover Motorsports is expecting to is expected to pay $8 to $10 million in renovations for the Nashville Superspeedway in the next week. And then one last one. It was a Stern bomb right before we went live. Preliminary contract extensions are being put in place for Eric Jones, and the team is confident about Black & Decker and DeWalt coming back. So it sounds like his future is pretty stable for the most part if everything ends up going according to plan. I'm
just glad to hear DeWalt hopefully coming back and sticking around. That makes me happy.
And that's the lightning round right there. I'm taking this damn thing off. I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it at the All-Star race. I don't care if it's like not mandatory. I'm wearing it just because I pay money to get this thing made. Yeah, promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But I'm getting this thing off now because I want to breathe. That was the lightning round.
Even though we just got done the lightning round, hearing you bring up Wendell Scott makes me remember something. Guys, Tia Norfleet is at it again.
Hold on, let me do the outro really quick, and we'll get to that. And that'll do it for the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Okay, let's get to Tia Norfleet.
Oh my gosh, that thing became a pop filter.
It did.
Well, I'll get my own custom one pretty soon. But anyways, Tia Norfleet. My God, what a you know what? I'll be as nice as possible.
I didn't see this.
So you know what, Danny? Tell us the whole story.
I've got the screenshots pulled up here on my computer so I can read what she's been saying.
Got the receipts.
Got the receipt.
So,
got the invoice. Right
on her Instagram, she posted, "What about me and all the other black drivers that were whiteballed, blocked from sponsorship, called the word I can't say, told they couldn't drive for whatever reason when we all know it was only because of the color of their skin. I appreciate the effort, but it's pretty convenient to do this now when this is what I've been trying to do since 2010. That was the first thing she put.
Oh, there's more?
Then there's
more.
There was another thing she put. It was no caption of the picture. It was just like something that, it looked like it was posted to Facebook and then to Instagram. She said, "This is the same man that defended Kyle Larson for saying the word we can't say, and the same man that said he's not black, and the same man that had negative things to say about me. Pick a side, bro." And then
talking about who? Bubba Wallace?
Yeah.
She's. I'll say it like this: she's taking this and she's trying to make it about herself.
All right. Let me.
You know what? There's a very good song that could be her theme song right now. It's by Toby Keith. It's called "I Want to Talk About Me."
Let me say this, and I don't want anyone talking right now. Tia Norfleet is an opportunist. It's so obvious. She doesn't care about, all the changes that are happening. She only cares about her own damn self, okay? Because if she really cared, she'd be applauding Bubba Wallace. First off, Bubba Wallace never defended Kyle Larson at all. He said that, just the utterance of that vile word was absolutely wrong. But what he was saying is, guys, at some point, we do need to forgive, okay? We need to forgive and we need to move on. That's a part of life, okay? I'm even saying that too. To put that in some sort of messed up context to say Bubba Wallace was defending him is absolutely wrong. Number two, the reason that you're not in the sport right now isn't because you're blackballed, being blackballed because of the color of your skin. It is because of you and your family's incompetence, okay? There is a long history with this family that Danny B had pointed in the video. In 2000, her father was so slow, barely made a truck race. The one truck race he made, there was only 31 entries when there's usually 32. So luck of the draw. And he was way off the pace. And then he had the freaking audacity to sit there and blame NASCAR and say, yeah, they're not letting me race because they hate black people. When in fact, Brian France, yes, that Brian France was helping him out with sponsorship in 2000. So that is absolutely wrong. It's dishonest. It's ingenuine. And you know what? What?
You should read that super chat.
Oh, hold on. Let me. I don't see it.
From Flying Gator.
Flying Gator, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Tia Norfleet is a failed con artist. Absolutely. And Danny B's video pointed that out. I mean, Danny B's video said it all. Okay?
I got nothing wrong with
nothing
with a black woman driver, but what I do have a problem with is trying to use that to just say, oh, just because I'm this, you should sponsor me.
Absolutely. And then the way she was marketing herself, she wants to sit there and play stupid, acting like, well, I'm not really I'm not an actual Nationwide Series driver. What's the hell's on the fire suit then? Come on.
I still think the thing that really baffles me the most was the thing that she did a couple years ago in Four Sports facility, sitting inside of Matt Crafton's truck, and the video was suggesting that was her truck to drive.
And she was wearing a freaking team jacket that she bought in the damn gift shop.
I'll tell you what.
It was a crew member's jacket.
It was
You know what? If she wants to be heard or something, you know what? We can come on here and we can talk about facts.
No, but I mean,
that?
Yeah, exactly. To end my point, though, Tia, you're absolutely wrong. Okay, this is not going to get you any further. As a matter of fact, it made you look way worse. You and your family way worse. I don't know.
You know what was funny about that is that people who actively don't like us were agreeing with us on this. That shows how
that
far.
shows how bad she is. And the reason Bubba called you out. The reason Bubba called you out is basically, the same reasons I did, okay? You want to advertise yourself as this, the first black female driver, licensed driver, which you have to pay for, by the way. It's only like, what, $80 for a NASCAR license? I could go get one right now.
No, it's more if you want to be on those top level ones.
Okay.
She was, like I said, a failed high-price con artist.
Yes.
And Riff Dane with $5 super chat says, late, but about Logano. He actually has an autoimmune disease that attacks hair follicles. He talked about last year. Yeah, so.
Anyways, in conclusion, Tia, stop. You're not helping your case.
Get off the...
She can't even get on the track. She can't even get on the track. What are you talking about, man? Only one start. Come on now.
More like get off the social media.
Yeah, get off the social media, man.
Get off the screen.
Hey, Moonhead. Hey, hashtag free Moonhead. He was in timeout on Twitter for a while, and he's free.
Yeah,
that's what
everyone spam hashtag free Moonhead.
Yep, free Moonhead.
We here support Moonhead.
We love Moonhead.
And Moon Vision.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's talk about some of the other big news of the week. The All-Star race that Steve, can't say Mr. Phelps, has to be Steve. Talked about. I'm sorry, when I was just thinking of the show Arthur. People who know, Yeah. But the All-Star race is moved to Bristol. 30,000 spectators are going to be there. Yeah. And then it's going to be number changes are going to be happening, like the placement of them. Eric's going to be disappearing, and the choose cone might be in there. So I guess I'll start off with you, Danny, because you're the one who's closest. You're the one who's going to, you get to live in the great state of Tennessee. Yep. Lucky son of a gun. Nice. What do you think of all these? What's the biggest thing that stands out to you right now as we hope to bring Eric back with us?
As far as the All-Star race goes?
Yes.
Okay. Biggest things that I'm expecting is, first of all, what's going to be the format of it? Is it going to be the same as it has been? Are we doing random draws for qualifying, or are they going to get a chance to at least try to qualify for a proper position in the All-Star race? Because it seems a little bit not right to do random draw for this one, in my opinion. But we'll have to see really what happens. So it's just going to be like a one-day show. Also, dang, it's going to be like you don't know who to expect to really excel in the All-Star Open this year, because for the past few seasons it's always been at Charlotte. So there might be like, sometimes like a Daniel Suarez would come into mind as having a great shot at being able to drive his way into the All-Star race. Well, short track racing, whole lot different, whole lot more on the line. Are these guys going to be tearing up their race cars just to try to get a spot into the main show when, it's a short track, not a lot of room to really try to do much? So it's going to have so much more intensity than I think it has in the past few All-Star races, for sure.
I'm in the minority when it comes to the number placements that we'll see. I'm for it to an extent, and what I mean is the numbers do have to stay on the door. They do. But if you do move them a little bit closer to the rear tire, then fine. I'm cool with that. The only problem I have is with putting numbers on quarter panels. I'm not really into that personally, but to each his own. So, as far as that's concerned, I'm all for that. But next to the racing, I'm all for this too. The All-Star race at Bristol. This is like a dream. This is a dream. I've always thought, if we move the All-Star race to this track, what would it be like? You know what I mean? And Bristol was always number one on my list. It was always number one. So when I saw that, I basically shit bricks, man. It was so crazy, and I was just like, is this real? I'm like, is this Adam Stern or Adam Slurn here that's saying this?
No, when I first saw it, I retweeted and I said, it's not Slurn. It's not Slurn.
It's not Slurn.
And really quick, GN with the $2 super chat asking our fan vote picks and stuff. I think we'll wait. We're gonna, since we're gonna be there, we'll wait till that day to give our picks on it.
We'll wait.
And by the way, we're all, well, I don't know if Gino will get to make it, but we're all going to be at the All-Star race. So,
I'd love to. Trust me, I would be there in a heartbeat. But I work 5 days a week, so we'll see if I can get the Thursday off.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help that it's on a Wednesday night too, which I mean, okay, I'm just happy they're racing, but still.
We will get to the Hall of Fame in a bit, but Gino, what stands out big with you with the All-Star race changes?
I think along the lines of Darian's, he was saying, I'm kind of like on the Facebook boomer side of this, that they got to stay on the door. They just have to stay in that certain spot. That's all I've known about NASCAR is just the number being right there. So I hope like maybe there's a bad reaction to it, and like the sponsors stay on the quarter panel and the numbers stay on the door. I would prefer that, honestly, but obviously, and I like, isn't there a rule where like if the number gets torn off, you have to like, because Dale Jr. had to do that at Bristol that one year.
Yeah.
But what happens if like you blow a tire and the quarter panel blows
You're a
out?
lot more likely to lose it right back there.
Yeah. How do you like mid race fix that? I don't know.
And the chat, none of us spoiled anything. We've talked about on social media for a while that we were all going to the All-Star race.
Yeah, we're going to All-Star race.
We talked about it with Steve. Eric, what for you stands out though as the big changes? We talked about, the 30,000 spectators, it being at Bristol, number changing placement, the choose cone probably is going to be used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, all that's great. I think the All-Star race, at least the last couple of years especially, has always been kind of a testing ground for, you could argue radical ideas. In 2018, they put a restrictor plate on the cars, put it down to 400 horsepower, and that was a bit extreme. And obviously the current rules package isn't where that was, but it was kind of a just a radical idea. So the choose cone, if that's implemented as Austin Dillon was teasing, that would be a neat idea to try at a place like Bristol, where I think it would come in handy for sure. 30,000 fans, it makes sense. That place seats 150,000 or whatever it is, and we'll all be there. I know I'll be wearing a mask. I encourage pretty much everyone who's going to also wear a mask, even though they're not required, because you want this to go well. You don't want to get out in the news later there's a sudden spike in Tennessee after this race. You don't want that to happen, because that's going to hinder possible future races having fans. Obviously it's going to put people's health in danger, so you don't want to make that happen. So you don't want bad things to happen.
Just really quick, the state of Florida had its biggest COVID outbreak yesterday so far this year. So just FYI, just saying, you're saving lives when you do it.
With all that being said, I intend to wear my mask the entire time during the race when I'm close to the race like track facility. However, before the race, it is allowed for people to tailgate, from what I've understood. And yes, we may like us as friends, we may actually do a little tailgate this year, because for this race it'll be so much different. There's nothing that we can actually do before the race itself, so this might be the first chance where we just get to chill out,
Yeah,
and
cool.
so
get hammered. No,
kidding. Not yet.
But this will be fun. And when we're in our own group, if we really like take care of ourselves, I think I would trust like my group of people to not have to wear a mask just to have a tailgate. Mm-hmm. But when we get into where we don't know these people, wear your mask.
Yeah.
Really quick, I want to thank Inside Uranus for the $2 super chat. Put the car numbers on the windshield. It's funny.
Big Newtons, baby.
Wait, did everyone but me actually give a take on that?
I didn't mention anything about the door numbers. I'm kind of on the same page, at least as you, Darian. There, I don't hate the experiment of putting it on the quarter panel. I do not want it on the or not on the quarter panel. Sorry, I don't want it on the quarter panel. I'm okay with it being on the door, but slid over a little bit. I'm at least okay with experimenting with that and seeing what the teams are able to do with paint schemes, if they're able to use that space in a creative way and make it look really good. Mm-hmm. Time will tell. Obviously, I think if they 100% switched that this week, people would get used to it over time and it really wouldn't affect anything. But I do like the numbers centered on the door. I'm okay with them testing for the All-Star race. That's basically where I'm at.
Also, Lightning McQueen had his number like that too. Just FYI.
I am a traditionalist with it. I made a video and even said all this same stuff, that I want it to stay at the same spot. Don't mess with the one thing that like really, that isn't needing messed with. At the same time, I remember, I think I made a video, about it. And I said that the one further back towards the back tire, I'm cool with. That's what a lot of short track cars do around the country. So you know what? Cool. But no quarter panel ones, none of those small ones on the window, none on the windshield.
The window.
None having a flag or a banner behind it with the number. No, just keep it on the door. Keep it on the door. Don't put it too far back. Don't put it too far back on the door either. Just enough that there is space between that rear wheel. As Blue Jimmy 48 fan, thanks for $2, says tailgate's the best part of being at a race. Yeah. Depends on how you do it.
Yeah. Think of it like this iconic paint scheme.
Oh,
this would not have worked with the number on the quarter panel, and Budweiser it would have to just, Budweiser would have to be like, in a weird way, kind of try not to go over this, but it wouldn't be able to fit right with all these contingency panels here. It wouldn't work right.
What about this one? Same
Dale.
deal.
Yeah.
Do it for Dale. But it is true, and it's one of the big identifiers of really that any fan, anyone new can have, is they see that number immediately. So yeah, don't mess with it too much. And if you get a negative reaction, never ever think about doing this again.
Don't put the damn number on a flag. I swear, I never heard that before until Jared. Don't do it.
I was making a joke.
Oh, okay, good.
But no, the choose cone thing. You know my take. I'm not a fan of it. I think that a lot of stuff is going to be. It could go wrong, but at the same time, if you're going to test it. The All-Star race, as my dad reminds me, just letting you all know, FYI, we might not have Super Bowls to us, but we, Vikings fans, invented tailgating in the NFL. We were the first fans ever tailgate. So
interesting.
Okay. I didn't know that. But really quick, can someone explain the choose cone thing? I don't get it. What does that mean, choose cone? What exactly is that?
Okay, so essentially, you take everyone and take a track like Bristol Motor Speedway where your restarts are better up on the high line. Mm-hmm. So first place, usually he always gets to choose which lane he wants.
Right.
Well, then it would be first place, okay, pick. Okay, I'm going to go to the outside. Second, okay, I'm actually going to go to the outside. Third, I'm going to go to the outside. Fourth, I'm going to go on the outside. It could go all the way back. But then, like, someone who's like 32nd, well, shoot, I can start second if I just go to the inside.
Oh, dude, that's interesting. Okay, NASCAR.
I'm down for that in the All-Star race.
I'm down for that in the All-Star race. Yeah.
Okay. You could sacrifice a worse lane to start in to gain track position if you did that.
Yeah.
Or you could just say, I like running up here.
And all the mind games they're going to be played. Oh, I can't wait. All the mind games, man.
Oh. Thank you, Bryce Sizemore, for the $4.99 super chat, dude. I feel for you, bro. At least you're not a Bengals fan. At least you had a good defense for a while. Zim was your D coordinator for a while. But I always have to talk about the Vikings because I know we have a large amount of Packer fans that are part of our fans, and I love messing with you guys. It's so fun.
Marvin Lewis. That's all I gotta say.
All I'll say is this. Y'all don't think I haven't heard the Super Bowl ones before? Yeah. Y'all don't think I haven't heard of wide whatever? Yeah, come on. Gotta give them some better ones.
Was it wide right or wide left? I forget.
Right and left. We've done them both. Y'all don't think that I haven't heard of all this.
Hey, this is my most favorite line. Gary Anderson has missed a field goal for the first time in 2 years.
13-3. Anyway, Hall of Fame voting has happened, or nominations and all that. And we have some. So 3 nominees this year instead of 5, which is the right call because we were starting to really run dry in a few of them. But it's Red Farmer, Mike Stefanik, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. And so Darian, starting with you. Tell us a bit before we all know about Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Oh yes,
and we'll get into that conversation in a bit. But tell us a bit about Red Farmer and Mike Stefanik.
So Red Farmer was a part of the good old Alabama game back in the day. Like, I think he played a smaller role in that game, in that little clique, because you had Neil Bonnet, the Allisons, Davey, like all of those legends who are in the Hall of Fame now, and he finally gets to join in with them. I believe Neil Bonnet is now the only person in the Alabama game not to be in the Hall of Fame yet, but that'll change very soon. And Mike Stefanik, RIP to him. He passed away. Did he pass away last year or was it earlier this year? I forget.
I think it was this year.
Oh, okay. See, unfortunately, it was. That's a sad deal, but you know what? Mike Stefanik was a modified legend. I never saw him race personally. I mean, because that was way before my time, but. For those saying, like, well, he wasn't in the Cup Series, are you that dense? NASCAR is a broad spectrum of all forms of racing. You got Xfinity, trucks, hell, Pinty's. We'll even see somebody in the Hall of Fame from Pinty's one day, probably, man.
It is the NASCAR Hall of Fame, not the NASCAR Cup Series Hall of Fame.
At least you're not like that one dumbass on Twitter that was saying that anyone who died in NASCAR should be in the Hall of Fame.
There was a guy. You know what? It was probably a little kid, all right? I'll just take it with a grain of salt, but... He literally tweeted, if you died in a NASCAR in a race car, you should be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, and then thank you, Jim, for the $2 super chat. Says, be glad NASCAR isn't the MLB and has restarted. I am glad because it sounds like there's a chance that we might not have any baseball seasons until 2022.
Yeah.
I will definitely disagree with that person's statement of if you died, you should be in the Hall of Fame. But I will say it would be a nice idea for the NASCAR Hall of Fame to have a memorial section where, and granted, we have people who pass away each year, so maybe just as the year progresses, when we do sadly lose somebody, put them into a memorial area.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean. Yeah, the back to Mike Stefanik though, man, he was a beast on those modifieds too, and because of the whole passing, I mean, it was it was unfortunate, but I'm glad he's in the Hall, and I'm glad NASCAR limited it to 3, so now it's more exclusive. That's what I've been begging for years, and we'll get into the whole debates later though, right?
Yeah, unless anyone else has to say anything about Stefanik or about Red Farmer. I know everyone knows Mike Stefanik for that glorious interview.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's iconic. No, I don't have any issues. Those are my 2 picks, or that was, Red Farmer was my pick from the Pioneer ballot, and Mike Stefanik was one of my picks for the modern ballot. So I don't have any issues with that. I think it was the right call.
And also, let's see, I see in here, Kurt Shelmerdine needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, and I was going to get to that. Let me get to this really quick, and let me make a case.
I'm going to be hammering that point, just like when it came to Chris Carter getting in the NFL Hall of Fame. And Inside Uranus, another $2 says, Jamie Little, Hall of Fame 2022.
So to
there it is. Truex has the poll for Talladega.
All right, cool.
JGR has the top 3 spots.
Yeah, they have the top 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Johnson starts 4th.
And something interesting, Alex Bowman has gotten 8th starting position for the 4th week in a row. Are we sure this thing is that random?
Numerology.
Right.
No.
Eat for sale.
But anyway, go ahead.
Kirk Shelmerdine should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago, and here's why. Kirk Shelmerdine, and actually I did a lot of research on this. A week before he was supposed to start college, he moved to Charlotte because he wanted to work in NASCAR. And he worked for a lot of smaller teams. One of those smaller teams was Richard Childress Racing. Just as he joined that team was starting to take off with Ricky Rudd. A lot of people forget this. When Dale Sr. first came back for his second stint with Richard Childress Racing, he struggled at first. 84, 85, those were terrible years compared to what was going to come. Kirk Shelmerdine was brought in to clean that team up, better organize it, better, have a much better handle on Dale Sr. on the racetrack. Because, Dale Sr. is the intimidator, okay? I mean, drivers know it, fans know it. Imagine crew chiefing the guy. That has to be very intimidating, not only, personally for you, but like the fan base will get on your neck if you do not perform. As soon as he jumps on board, championship 86, 87, and then, he added 2 more championships in 1990 and 91. 1992, though, his final year, they finished 12th in the standings. But I did a bad seasons video on that. It had nothing to do with Kirk Shelmerdine at all. There was a lot of outside factors, okay? And also the team just couldn't adapt. I mean, the crew chief can only do so much. But a lot of people have the perception that he was kicked off for that reason. I found a video, and I'll release it on Twitter tomorrow. Dale Sr. literally said, no. Kirk Shelmerdine was just burnt out. Because think about it. It's a lot of work, a lot of hard work. And to really be at the top for so long, that takes so much work. And Kirk Shelmerdine has the honor of giving Dale Sr. 4 of his 7 championships, more than half. Kirk left the team to go race. He raced in ARCA. I remember Kirk Shelmerdine from 2004. He always drove this underfunded, unsponsored 72 American flag paint scheme Ford. That's how I knew him. I did not know he was Dale Sr.'s crew chief until years later, and I am shocked that he's not in the Hall of Fame today. He should be.
So it's kind of, when you bring that up with Dale Earnhardt himself, he had so many crew chiefs during his career. Like you think today, a normal NASCAR driver may work with 2, maybe 3 crew chiefs in their entire career. Back then, a lot of those guys just like you think of Larry McReynolds. How many people did he crew chief for? Like a ton. Like it's strange how different the landscape is today.
I see a super chat here from RKD asking for $2. So should Carl Edwards be in the Hall of Fame? He should. I don't think this year though. I don't think he was snubbed by any means.
Yeah, I mean, they're only gonna allow 3.
We're gonna get into why I don't think he was snubbed though. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And a funny thing, I saw someone put in there, Red Farmer is 87 years old and the man still races.
Yes,
He's
he is.
race twice this weekend. Meanwhile, Dale Jr., who also got added into the Hall, 1 race series, like that takes a lot out of me. I might be done.
That's it. That's a wrap.
It's funny. I'm not ripping on Dale. It's just I think it's funny.
Yeah.
But I guess we can't get into the Dale Jr. debate over. You all know my stance on it. I am Earnhardt fan through and through. Mm-hmm. But the whole debate became. Should Junior be in the Hall of Fame? Should he not? I think he should for not only driver reasons, because it's not the NASCAR Driver Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. It's the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He's done a ton he's going to do a ton in broadcasting. He's already had a legendary call. He's done a ton in ownership, ton with carrying the sport, all of that. There's so much Dale Jr.'s done in front of the camera and behind the scenes. There's no way that you can tell me he doesn't deserve it.
He's willing to branch out and do other forms of ways to connect to the fans too. Think of everything he's doing with Dirty Mo Media. He's getting active as a Twitch streamer. Never thought I'd see that.
Not to mention, back in the day, Junior was pimping. He had women everywhere at the racetrack all the time. Man. Let me tell you something.
Put him in the Hall of Fame.
Gotta put him in the Hall of Fame for that alone, man. Was in Playboy, was in rap videos, man. Just the fact that we're even having this conversation, is ridiculous. Like, yeah, without a doubt, to me, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, it's no question. But to me, I feel like people. They just want to find something negative, like, because it's too easy to be like, yes, Junior, yes, we love you, yes, you're in the Hall of Fame, you totally deserve it. I mean, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame with his dad forever. That is amazing. He's going to be in the Hall forever. And then also
you can make an argument for Ralph Earnhardt being in one day.
Yes, you could as well. And also 10 plus years apart as well of their in their
11.
11.
Wasn't it 2010 he got put in?
It was 2010. It was 2010. So 11.
What I like about this, I heard Mike Davis say this on Dale Jr. Download. This is a place that Isla Rose and their next daughter is coming out. They'll always have a place where they can go and see what their dad did.
Yeah.
Wait, did they say for sure that he was having another girl?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just laughing at the way you said that day. The next one that's coming out.
Well, that's what happens.
I mean, like, what else are you gonna do? You know,
like it's a movie.
Well,
it is what it is.
It's a release.
Dale Jr.'s child, the sequel. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what they're planning to name that girl. So I don't know what to call her.
Really quick, Beast Metal 1989 with $10 super chat says, I specifically remember at the first Pocono race in 2004, there were audible cheers for Shelmerdine every time that he drove by the grandstands. The Fox crew even saw it and mentioned it because of it. And I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there is a YouTube video that shows that. It might not be 2004, but I know that there is one.
I'll find it.
Do you know what your thoughts on this, man?
So with Dale Jr., I think, yeah, he had a pretty good NASCAR career, but I think his impact on the sport alone is far more than enough to get him into the Hall of Fame. You guys have mentioned it before, his media, broadcasting now. I think even though I'm a big Gordon guy, I think Junior is the better color commentator in the booth. I think we can get into Gordon later, but I think Junior, he's so polarizing. He's so impactful. He's so fun to watch. I think that's what makes NBC fun, is just how into it he is, how much he loves the sport. He cares so much about the history. I think Dale going into the Hall of Fame is great. And there's no other guy I could think of to be that third ballot.
Mm-hmm. And people, talk about his driving career, which I think you could make a case just with his driving career alone. 26-time Cup winner, 2-time Busch champion, 2-time Daytona 500 winner. You can make a real case his driving career makes him Hall of Fame worthy at some point down the line. But I think what puts him over the edge as a first ballot Hall of Famer is what you just said. A lot of his outside of the race car type of activity, the way he's been such a strong ambassador for the sport for almost 20 years now. I mean, he was the most popular driver for 15 years in a row. That adds an extra bit of responsibility to him that he never asked for, but he was shouldered with from the start. And I think more often than not, he lived up to the occasion when it came to, being the face of NASCAR, speaking about NASCAR, doing appearances, now doing radio, and podcasting, and TV. I think he's lived up to the occasion in all those fronts. Not to mention, he's a 5-time Xfinity Series championship team owner. So you could throw that in there as well.
2-time Xfinity champion as well. So, I mean, he has 7 Xfinity championships. I mean, 7 Xfinities, 7.
And this just in, Dale Jr. is better than Jimmy Johnson.
Hey, I mean, same as his dad.
I knew it.
Oh, no.
Real quick, Bryce Sizemore, thank you for the $4.99, man. Says, okay, last super chat. Where would you rather go, Taco Bell or Wendy's? I'm just going to take that as a harmless question and say I'm going to Wendy's because I ain't eating horse meat.
I'm going to
Wendy's.
Wendy's,
horse meat.
Taco Bell got canceled today, so I got to go with Wendy's.
Oh, wait, what
happened to Taco
happened to
Bell?
Taco Bell now?
Yeah, they fired some guy for wearing a Black Lives Matter mask at work.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no, nope, yeah. Get him out.
I saw it trending on Twitter. I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Damn Crunchwrap Supreme is so
Goddamn Crunch
good, though.
Wraps, man. I know. I can't get it now. I have to go to Del Taco now for shittier.
I need to try that Wendy's breakfast. There's one right by my house. I got
Wendy's breakfast is good.
It's good. We had it at Daytona. The god freaking flies. There's flies in a garage. It happens. No, but we had a Wendy's breakfast at Daytona because they had one of those little portable restaurants, and yeah, I'll admit it was good. My gut the next day didn't feel good.
It was bad.
It was good.
Remember, Jared? I was having stomach problems. I had to go to the bathroom 3 different times, and I was in for like 30 minutes. I was like,
yeah, we were making
Jared,
jokes at that point. We're like, oh no, Darian's got the Ronas.
Yeah, I'm like, Jared.
That was a different world when you could joke about
was,
coronavirus without being considered a terrorist.
That was before that like it had even really got bad over here.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything? On this?
One last thing, Carl Edwards. He does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame eventually, but in this case, Junior getting in, Stefanik finally getting in. After his passing from last year, and then Red Farm. I mean, because really only 2 candidates can go in, and then like a pioneer one. So like Carl Edwards only had 2 only a small chance to get in. But Carl Edwards' body of work speaks for itself, even though he doesn't speak much these days. So I'm sure he's fine with it. He's probably like, yeah, they made the right call, and because he knows he'll be in eventually. It's bound to happen. Maybe next year, maybe the year after. We'll never know. We'll find out.
So we got 2 more stories really to talk about before we go into picks, and then the big announcement, which I am really excited for.
I can't wait.
Can I say something about Carl Edwards real quick?
Yes, definitely.
I think he's the poster child of my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. He used to be my profile pic on Twitter for a while. I need to get back to that. But the Aflac Cup Series was inspired by the man, Carl Edwards, running Aflac as a sponsor. And as a big fan, I got to say I'd love to see Carl Edwards in the Hall someday. But I got to agree with Darian. I don't see it within the next 5 years just because I think his disappearance has just kind of really hurt him. No one hears from him anymore, which I respect. Like, live your own life. But I think that's going to hurt him because we got a lot of voters out there that look for, like what Dale Jr., what have you done for the sport outside of your driving career? And I think Carl has been impactful. He's had a lot of controversial moments with Keselowski and Kenseth, his own teammate too. So yeah, there's a lot to remember about Carl, but man, I miss him a lot. And I hope he sees the Hall someday.
And he was my brother's favorite.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't even sell him too short. I think there's a good chance he gets in the next 2 years because we kind of have a gap. Like Jimmy Johnson isn't going to be a nominee for for at least 3 years. Matt Kenseth at least 3 more years. So it's like, I don't know. This might be a good chance for him to sneak in one of these next couple of years. So I think he'll get in eventually. He deserves it.
I will say this: if Ricky Rudd doesn't get in a few years, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah.
Iron Man, baby.
And also one final comment related to the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, NASCAR YouTubers did not get in this year. Hashtag 29 to go. 29 more years to go. 29 more years to go. You got all the time in the world, Eric. Do not let us down.
Why is this on me now?
You're the biggest guy here. So
no, what about
That's right. I forgot
his name.
May I make a
TNT man too. Put him in the Hall of Fame too. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
May I make a serious comment on this?
Go ahead.
We as NASCAR YouTubers are technically more of a NASCAR artist more than anything. We us making videos is our way of art. Like I suck at drawing, but this is something I can be creative with. This is something that I can be creative with. But when it comes to NASCAR artists, Sam Bass definitely needs to be in it in a few years.
Yeah, Sam Bass. I wouldn't mind Sam Bass being in the Hall of Fame. Just the regular Hall of Fame. I wouldn't mind that. I mean, he did so much work.
That's what I'm saying. Like he defined what was visually appealing to NASCAR.
He made all those programs just stick out. When you went to a track, when I always went to Las Vegas Motor Speedway when I was a kid, the one thing I could always look forward to was getting my hands on the track's official program and seeing that beautiful cover. I got hella in my room right now, and I also have one. I have one for Eric, which I still haven't given you yet. The 2000 Coca-Cola 600 one program, the official.
Oh, that's
one there.
cool.
So I do need to give you that one. Yeah.
So we got two things. One, I can just mention here. They changed the Super Speedway package a little bit, so when the car's down, a little less horsepower.
Yeah.
We knew that was coming.
Yeah.
They talked about that back in, March or April?
A while back.
We knew it'd be a possibility.
The last thing I think that we can talk about before we get to picks is a feud that seems to have been ended rather abruptly between Corey LaJoie and Denny Hamlin. Eric, again, you covered this more in depth than any of us have. What's the final chapter of this entail?
Okay. So listen up.
Listen, kids.
So these are two grown men acting like children for all of our entertainment.
Yes.
It's beautiful. No, I mean, they've been going back and forth. They went back and forth after the iRacing deal a couple months ago. Then again, after Atlanta, when basically Denny was like, hey, I'm in better shape than you. And Corey was like, oh yeah, well, my car sucks. And that was kind of it. So now it sounds like it got out of hand to the point where yesterday on Corey LaJoie's podcast, he alleged that Denny Hamlin sent both him and the rest of his team owners and crew chief and stuff, sent them threatening text messages, basically saying that he was going to wreck them at Homestead Miami Speedway because of all their Twitter back and forth beef and all that. So the owner of Go Fast, Archie St. Hilaire,
he snitched.
He went to Steve O'Donnell and said hey bro, this dude says he's going to wreck us. What are we going to do about this?
Hey bro. Not Mr. Not Mr. O'Donnell. Hey bro, can you
my out of the group today on this was 25 minutes. I'm trying to keep it a lot more abbreviated.
Yeah, I
bet. So then that caused NASCAR to, I guess, sit down. We asked Steve Phelps a little bit about this, but I guess Corey and Denny sat down at Homestead Miami. Apparently we're cussing each other out in person, so that would have been exciting to hear. And it sounds like they ultimately just decided to agree to disagree and went their separate ways. And obviously Hamlin went out and won Miami, didn't wreck Corey LaJoie. They kept it themselves, and
they did get near each other at one point. That was interesting.
I'm sure both were edge of their seat at that point. And yesterday, after all this came out, after LaJoie made all these comments about the threatening texts and all that, Denny Hamlin tweeted that it was all a lie. He said, the above statement is false, blah, blah, blah. And then Jeff Gluck confirmed that they did at least have a meeting at Homestead Miami. So right now, we know the meeting at Miami actually happened. We don't know if there were texts or what the text specifically said, but it sounds likely that something was texted by Denny Hamlin. Seems likely. That's just my opinion, I should say. And all we know is then this morning, Corey LaJoie put out a long sort of apology, basically saying, hey, I didn't say anything false, but some things are better left unsaid. I don't want to associate my brand with negativity and so much. I want to be positive and all that great stuff. So it seems like maybe it's taken a back seat. Maybe it's finally subdued. But I thought that after the initial iRacing beef, I thought that after the Atlanta back and forth, I don't know. At this point, I don't know. I mean, Corey LaJoie went out there, aired a lot of dirty laundry on his podcast yesterday. I can't imagine Denny Hamlin's too happy with that.
Oh, and also not to mention Corey's master troll job before the show started. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
He was like, I got something at 5 o'clock, and then it was just the boat thing.
It's like vote for me.
Yeah.
I so hope that they get having to be paired up at a final restart as drafting partners just to see what happens. But Blue Jimmy 48 fan, thanks for the $2. Says Eric is serious when the glasses come off.
I'd never take the glasses off. So yeah.
Here's the thing about this. Eric obviously respects Corey LaJoie. He's been a guest on Sunday Money before. So for him to talk about him like that would be very interesting, which we'll get to this more at the end, but it'll be interesting to see how one of our guests for next week feels about all this.
Yeah. I don't well, I just want to kind of clarify. I think both drivers are kind of not in a better place now than they were a few weeks ago. I think, Denny Hamlin, he's supposed to be contending for championships. He still doesn't want a championship. That's the knock on him. It's easy to get under his skin. He's a little bit of he's mentally weak in a sense. And he's kind of just proving that right now by getting into this beef and having it be ongoing and escalating it the way he allegedly has. So Denny Hamlin doesn't look good. Corey LaJoie, though, I think Corey LaJoie, clearly trying to keep himself relevant because he knows he's in a contract year, and he's very blunt, very brutally honest about how bad his current team is, which I think is a little wild. You don't hear very many people badmouth their team weekly, but Corey LaJoie basically does. I mean, he's honest, but we run 30th. That's it. I don't know. Anyway, he does that to the point where I think the self-pitting around Corey LaJoie has maybe become a little too prevalent, a little bit too prevalent part of his narrative, and it is a little exhausting. I like the stacking pennies, celebrate the small victories, build yourself up from the lowest of the low, but man, at some point it's like, just go out there and let the results on the track speak for themselves. And if you run well, if you outperform your equipment, like he has done a decent amount this year, opportunities will come your way. Matt DiBenedetto's proved that from that very race team just a couple of years ago. So I think both drivers, it's smart for them to kind of simmer some of this down just for their own personal sakes and just for their own personal accomplishments going forward. But that's just me.
Real quick, Mr. Anti-Ant with 199 super chat says, "It's me again. Love the podcast as always. Keep it up." Well, thank you, man. Thank you for support. If anyone doesn't have anything else to say, we're at picks.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Let's do it.
So here's what we're doing on Talladega picks. We're going to do who's going to suck, who's going to be a dark horse, and who's going to win. And let's be completely honest, anyone could fit into any of those categories for the most part. But
expect some wild picks tonight.
I decided to do, because I kind of figured this show would go a little longer than usual. So I did the random number generator before the show.
Oh, smart man.
And so I have my picks ready. I just want to see, can anyone guess who the suck pick is that I had my random generator on?
Martin Truex Jr.?
Nope.
Winhouse.
Nope.
Alex McDowell.
Alex Bowman.
No, only one pick for each. So which one was it you guys said?
I said McDowell.
Alex.
No. Clint Boyer, unfortunately.
Oh.
and that
number generator
scheme.
spoken.
He can't really afford a bad race either. He's kind of.
The generator has spoken. Clint Boyer will suck at
won't be happy
Talladega.
with that.
I'd say Martin Truex Jr. is going to suck at Talladega. His track record here is not the best. And it's not really his fault. I mean, these tracks are more so bad luck. I mean, how many times has he gotten involved in the big one and blah, blah, blah? You know what I mean? Like, even though he has the pole.
Every time.
Yeah, it's like every single time, man. So, for years it was he hasn't won at a short track. When is that going to happen? Well, we're still waiting on the super speedway part. But it's not going to happen this weekend. It's going to happen later down the road. So, yeah, Martin Truex Jr. is going to suck.
It honestly may never happen because Martin Truex is my pick as well. I looked it up before the show. He has one top 20, I believe, in the last 7 races at Talladega, and it was a 20th place finish. So he has had no luck. I know he's starting on pole. He drew the pole position, but it's a long race, and he is not going to be there at the end.
That doesn't mean anything. The only guy that we've seen win from the pole award the last 2 years was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 2017.
That's it. Oh, no. Terrible.
That's kind of crazy about Truex because when he drove for Chance 2 Motorsports, he was so good at Talladega. That's crazy.
Talladega BR.
I have a feeling, though, that kind of boils back more into the fact that Chance 2 was owned by Dale Jr. And his input
DEI was phenomenal.
His input into anything with a super speedway package is great. Like, that's why Hendrick is still so good at super speedways.
Right.
Yeah.
So who are you guys' 2 picks for sucking?
I am going to say a guy who actually he had probably one of the best average finishes here, but he did not fare well at Daytona. I can't really say he's fared well at any of the last few super speedway trips. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr., something's going to happen to him.
He'll probably be good, but then
piggies. So Gino, who you got? Who's sucking?
I'm going to go with. I hate to do this to a lot of people, but I'm going to go with Jimmy Johnson. I just feel like the last couple plate races, he's just had terrible luck, and I think that will continue.
All right, now we got dark horse picks, and like I said, I already wrote my picks down. There's no real stakes to waiting for any of it, but I'm gonna wait. And want to hear again. You 4, can you guess who I picked as my dark horse pick?
I'm gonna say Quinn Hoof.
No.
Joey Logano. I don't know.
No.
Bubba Wallace.
Nope.
Tyler Reddick.
Nope. Michael McDowell, the number.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah,
number generator.
That's a good pick.
That's actually a pretty good. That team has won here before.
The number generator is thinking with its head on this one.
There you
Michael
go.
McDowell actually, I think, would be a really good dark horse pick. So thank you, number generator. You didn't make me look completely stupid compared to my win pick. So thank you. So who do you guys got as a dark horse pick?
Brendan Gaughan. You can't go wrong with Brendan Gaughan at these super speedways. Remember, this is his song season, which I'm very sad about because we met him in person, and just his personality, I hope after this year he is either working for Fox or NBC in some capacity. He needs to be in the booth immediately. Put him in the Truck Series booth. He almost won a Truck Series race.
For us. Work for us if you can't get
Or come work for us. Yeah, come on our podcast, man. But no, Brendan Gaughan, he scored a top 10 in the Daytona 500. And, he was leading last year in the fall race. But, he had that scary flip. Which, by the way, Fox, just use that flip instead of Newman's flip, by the way. Or
Please.
crash, by the way. Please.
Yeah, please.
Show some respect. But anyways, Brendan Gaughan, I'll say this. I'll go as far as saying Brendan Gaughan gets a top 5 this weekend at Talladega. And that's going all out. So
That's going to be a hell of an interview.
Yeah, that is, man. So, Brendan Gaughan, that's my underdog pick.
I like it. I'm going to go with a similar pick. I'm going to go with Corey LaJoie, actually, as my underdog pick, because he ran top 10 at Daytona in the beginning of the season. And last year at Talladega, he finished 11th and 7th in the 2 races. So I think Fords have good power at the super speedways. And I think Corey LaJoie and that team have figured out the strategy, ride around, stay out of trouble, and they know when to strike at the right time. So I think he'll have a good top 10 run this weekend.
Plus was contending for a win at Daytona this year, too.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I like the idea of Corey LaJoie, but he's not going to be my pick because I like the idea of him and Denny Hamlin. We're both contending at Daytona. What can they do when they're both on a track where they can both do good? But I got us my underdog. I don't want to say he'll win the race. I would love to see him win the race, but Bubba Wallace will definitely be my underdog for this weekend.
Nice.
Right on. I'm going to stick with the random number generator. But go to his teammate, John Hunter Nemechek. I think that would be a really popular win, and I personally would love to see it. I don't know about you guys, but that would be very cool to see. Plus, front row is pretty good at the plate tracks.
They got a good track record. They were
They'll have a
1-2 in 2013 in the spring.
Yep.
And now,
The moment we've been
who's
waiting for.
gonna win?
Win, not win.
All right,
win.
like I said, the number generator has spoken. So I want you guys to guess, who do you think the number generator and myself am picking for this race?
Bubba Wallace.
Nope.
Brennan Poole.
Yes.
Oh, he got us.
Let's go.
Let's go. Nice.
Oh, let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
I don't know how I'm gonna BS this, but Brennan Poole is gonna win. He's gonna win.
Wow.
It is gonna be awesome.
He's
And
in the
he better get
playoffs.
to the top 30.
He's in the playoffs, too.
Oh,
That
God.
He's right on that border of the top 30. So
Mhm.
I'd say, there's no rain in the forecast. It's not going to be like a Justin Haley one. He's going to come up through there like shades of Dale Earnhardt in 2000, going from 28th to first in 3 laps.
Whoa.
Brennan Poole is going to win.
Or maybe it'll be shades of 2012 and Stenhouse will make a wreck that gets rid of everyone. He
Yeah.
just goes underneath and there he goes.
Good enough for me, as long as I'm right.
So for my pick, I got to go back to the fall. This guy was leading. He was leading.
Let me go.
And he was leading.
Yeah, he was leading. And then he decided to do a stupid ass move that cost him the win, and also, took out many of his teammates. Alex Bowman is going to get redemption this weekend and win at Talladega.
Would like that. It's not my pick though.
I like that.
I like that.
that. You like that.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, gosh, I don't know if I want to stick with my initial pick because it's super freaking boring. And I feel like Talladega, you got to have some fun with your picks. Well, I had Brad Keselowski winning because he's won at Talladega a ton.
Makes
And
sense.
I'm sticking
Makes
with the idea that Fords are really good. But I'm going to say, don't rule out Matt Kenseth winning this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I say that just
There's
42
the
is-
Eric meme.
the 42 has had no luck at Talladega ever. Kyle Larson, I mean, last time he raced at Talladega, I guess it was 2 times ago, raced Talladega,
Yeah.
he was flipping. He was flying through the air. I just have a feeling Matt Kenseth's I guess a one-time winner at Talladega, but he's won at Daytona a few times before. I'll go Matt Kenseth. He has shown very little speed since his first race back, but at Talladega, just throw caution to the wind. He hasn't raced a super speedway race since 2017. I'm excited to see what he can do.
And not to mention, he actually tweeted today, which I was like,
he did.
Matt Kenseth never tweets. He never tweets anything. So
I like Kyle Porter's pick. He put Wood button.
Where's White person?
Everyone in the chat,
I read it like that.
I haven't picked Kenseth to win any races this year. I think I picked him as an underdog once, maybe twice, but that come on now, y'all.
So past few times we've come to super speedways, there's been two guys with the same name contending for this one. So which one will I pick? Well, how does a person come back to a race like this that last time you was there you didn't know if you were going to race again?
Oh.
Well, this guy is able to race again. I think he had a strong chance of winning at Talladega last time.
He did.
He really should have won the Daytona 500 had a push not gone wrong. Ryan Newman is going to come back from the worst crash of his career, and he's going to get a win.
I hope. You know what? I hope. Forget my pick, man. I hope that happens.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be a feel-good story. Him or Bubba winning this weekend would. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yep.
But anyways, now that we're done.
No, we're not done.
Oh,
We're not done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to get to the announcement
You're good.
bad. I'm sorry.
I know I had a good pick, but we don't end on that one.
I know. I'm sorry. My bad, Gio. Go ahead.
The like along the lines with Eric, I had a boring pick at first, but I kind of want to change mine. I was gonna go with puke in my mouth, Joey Logano. He's so good at plate tracks. Like it's hard not to rule him out. Same with his teammates Blaney and Kozlowski. They're so good there. Logano is what my head's saying, but my heart really wants William Byron to finally get a win.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm a 9 fan now, but I grew up a 24 fan. It would be cool to see the 24 back in victory lane. It would.
B is the pick. I'll tell you what, Brennan Poole does end up winning. I'm never letting anyone forget it.
Yeah, can't let it.
Ever.
That'd be amazing.
The same deal with the whole 2018 Chase Elliott victory. That's gonna be way better because that's an underdog win.
Yeah.
So, all right. One last thing before we get to the announcement. All these guys, links to their channels are all in the description. Be sure to subscribe to all of them and like all their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also in the playlist. So if you missed any episode or you just want to go back and take our own words and use them against us, you have the option.
If you want to use anything out of context for your own personal gain, go ahead. We'll make you look stupid.
Gino, where can everyone find you and what stuff you got going on coming up?
Well, everyone can find me at the ACS Racing Network on YouTube. I'm ACS _ on YouTube, 24 on Twitter. And I believe I'm just the ACS Racing Network on Instagram. Currently, I'm a stop motion maker. I'm currently filming a race right now at the Daytona International Speedway, so that's going pretty fun. That's actually, I'm making that the Firecracker 400, kind of throwing it back to the daytime races during the 4th of July. So we're going back to that. And I'm currently in my 11th season of the NASCAR, the main NASCAR Cup Series. So that's exciting. Doing like a little elimination round, kind of like Eric did a couple years ago, where a certain amount of drivers get eliminated after 3 races. So that's a lot of fun. It's really intense. The points are really tight. They get reset after each round, and it's nuts. Yeah. If you want a fun time, watch some stop motion, come to my channel, check it out. Thank you guys.
Yeah. The elimination idea is a great idea. At least the reason I did it was because I was too lazy. So as races would go on, I'd have less cars I'd have to worry about pushing.
It's like the playoffs. I am keeping some of the cars that are all the cars in the race, but the points.
So you just
yeah, I thought about going that, but I didn't want people like, you copied Eric. Blah, blah.
That's okay.
So basically, you guys are both saying when you want the best quality, less is more sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
It really is.
Announcement time. Danny is going to talk about next week because it's on his channel. So, Danny, who do we got on next week? I'll announce who we got on July 1st.
We have a very fun show ahead of us next week. We will be starting off with one of the co-hosts of Sunday Money, Mr. Daryl Mott. This will be very interesting to see what's his perspective from one of Corey LaJoie's best friends, and how does he feel about everything that's been going on in the sport of NASCAR here lately. Now, we've also been on topic of several serious issues. Well, we're going to be actually joined by 2 people that I know pretty well. One of them is, well, I know him as Tig. He is actually a former Tennessee Titan football player. And you probably know him best in the Truck Series race the other day. They talked about how he once saved this family from a burning vehicle. So that's really a cool thing about him. Now he is actually technically employed by Chip Ganassi Racing, and he gets to work on a lot of other teams because Chip Ganassi Racing has actually 4 teams of pit crew members. He's on one of them, but he's on a team that gets to work with a lot of other teams. He works with Austin Hill's team in the Truck Series. He works with the 51 team in the Xfinity Series and the 00 team over in the Cup Series. So it'd be nice to have him on, as well as someone who I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy hearing from. She's actually my wife's cousin. Her name is Crystal, and she's trying to get things going. And she's a very passionate young lady who loves NASCAR, and she's going to be getting on with us because she's good friends of Tig, actually. So we're going to be welcoming them onto the show next week.
Mm-hmm.
As well as Ty Gibbs, I believe, will be on.
Ty Gibbs.
I was forgetting one. Ty Gibbs as well. We're having him.
We got a stacked show next week, and it all on Danny B's channel.
Have we ever had 4 guests on a show?
Nope. I don't
think so.
Wow.
It's gonna be fun. Yes, and then July 1st, and these are all at the same time that we usually have them. We changed tonight because we wanted to get Steve on, which was understandable. But we're going to be on the same time, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, next week on Danny's channel, and July 1st on Eric's channel. Our buddy Slap Shoes is going to be making a return on with us. He's going to be helping us with a really, really special interview. Chat, I want to see, can you guess what the interview is? I'm not going to give you time because, he's just, it's some dude named Mark Martin.
Martin is going to be on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast with Slap. Mark Martin, the legend himself, probably one of the greatest drivers to never win a Cup Series championship. He'll be on July 1st.
And the second Hall of Famer we've had on the show now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is.
Wow, that's
Mark
cool.
Martin used to be in second. Damn it.
Dang! Oh no! Eric! No, Eric. Now he's not gonna want to come on, man.
All right, we're gonna have an empty spot on our July 1st show now. I'm sorry, guys.
Man. I mean, I was able to get him on too, dude. Like he is such a cool guy, especially in the DM. So I can't wait to talk to him, man. He was actually my late grandma's on my mom's side. Her favorite driver, actually. So that's going to mean a lot to actually interview him and stuff, too. Like, my grandma loved Mark Martin.
Mark Martin's also an old family friend in my family, too. So
I don't know how Darian and Jarrett felt during this time, but 2009 was such a rough year to be an Earnhardt Jr. fan. I was loving rooting for the 5-car that year.
Yeah.
I got to see him win at Chicagoland.
It's lucky. See?
Yeah, when I met him.
He went at Michigan that year too when Biffle and Johnson ran out of gas in the last lap. That was nuts.
And I want to thank everyone for these super chats. A lot of them are just really excited and stuff. And Kamikaze cheering from North Dakota.
You're damn right.
Yep, we are getting Mark Martin on. And guys, you got to stay tuned over the summer too. We're just gonna keep ramping it up as the summer goes on. We got guests planned all the way through September 2nd, but we're not gonna tell them yet.
I'm not gonna tell y'all.
Got to keep coming back to find out. Yeah. So, but you guys will like them a lot. We're really excited to see how excited you guys will be. I know when we told Slap on Sunday about it because he's a huge Mark Martin fan. He was
in disbelief.
He just goes, "Are you effing serious?"
It was typical
great.
Low voice.
It was great. So I can't wait to have him on. I can't wait to hear what questions he's got. But it's been a fun show. It's been a little longer than usual, but I think that we're okay with that. We got to have Mr. Phelps on, or Steve. Got to have Steve on. We got to have him on for the first 40 minutes of the show. That was a lot more than we thought, but he was gracious enough to stay on with us and brutally honest. Yeah. So when this is done, if you haven't watched that part yet, once it's done processing, it'll be on my channel and in the NASCAR Weekly Podcast playlist. So yeah, be sure. And Darian is in control of the control panel. So now I got the Dale call. It's back. It's in honor of Dale being in the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame Dale call, baby.
Got my soda drink to match.
I love the taste of that, dude.
All right.
Green flag.